game of the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs era is a pretty simple one. There was nothing to hang your hat on from this game. Name a unit, a type of play, a stretch of time, a player. Find me anyone where you can say, you know what? At least that guy was good. Andy Reid was not good. Patrick Mahomes was not good. Nobody on the Chiefs' defense was good. It seemed like the interior offensive line was probably the closest to being solid in this game, as there was not a dramatic interior pass rush that I saw get home terribly often. More than anything else, there was pressure from the edges, it seemed, and then Mahomes would run the other direction before doing something downfield, but not even downfield, really. I think this is worse than the Super Bowl in terms of the quality of the football that was just played by the Chiefs. Because in the Super Bowl, we all saw it pretty clearly. The offensive line was brutalized by injuries, and we all saw that happening over the course of the year that ultimately turned into disaster. The pass catchers were not catching passes. That was relatively obvious and then turned into its own form of disaster over the course of the game. And the defense was what it was against Tampa. You at least had Patrick Mahomes doing on a bum toe and all sorts of stuff, doing some absolute nonsense that gave you a little bit of hope. You know what? In the Super Bowl, he's even late in the game's pretty much over. He's horizontal, throwing the ball 30 yards downfield in a way that you go, man, this is really disappointing because they got all the way there and couldn't pull it off. But at the very least, Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things. I think this might have been Patrick Mahomes' worst game as a pro. And not everything falls on him. Like this is the thing that is unique. And so many times I've sat down in this chair after various losses, and obviously there haven't been that many losses. But I've typically found myself kind of making the point that someone around Patrick Mahomes ended up being the thing that caused Patrick Mahomes to look less good than he usually does. You know what I mean? Like that is a place that I have found myself pretty frequently. Tonight, I can't do that. And that's not to say that, Mahomes was terrible and everyone else around him played well. That's the very specific thing. It's the thing about this game that is so deeply frustrating. It's that I have nothing for you in terms of, well, at least this. What would it be? Dan Sorensen can't be on the field anymore. It's obvious to everyone. And I know it's not even as simple as, play Juan Thornhill more, because oftentimes it's happening in dime. They spend a lot of time in various sub-packages. I understand there are layers to it. And also, I'm not saying that Juan Thornhill is a perfect player. I'm not even saying that Tyrann Mathieu is a perfect player at this point. Although it does seem like, at least typically, he understands what's supposed to happen, and then there's an execution mishap somewhere around him, and I don't think that's his fault necessarily. But again, everybody can take some criticism after a game like this. But Daniel Sorensen simply cannot be on a football field in 2021. Unless he's a blitz specialist. You play him that weak side linebacker spot and let him blitz some. Fine. But at every level and everything, it's hard to watch. I get no particular joy out of saying, Dan Sorensen's unplayable. It just is obvious to me, and it's probably obvious to you. Seems to be obvious to everyone. It's just an atrocity. The defensive line without Chris Jones in this game, the only hit I remember is the one on 3rd and 17 where Frank Clark got there too late and was called for roughing. And now look, I'm not going to tell you that was a great call. I think it was a bad call. But also that driving the quarterback into the ground thing gets called pretty frequently. And at that point, the ball was out of Allen's hands. Again, I'm not defending the actual penalty there. It was bad. But if Frank Clark could get there whenever the ball is still in Josh Allen's hands, that would be nice. Or at any point throughout the game, nothing. The only times that Josh Allen seemed any sort of bothered, he would immediately turn upfield into a 7-yard run, and then he would leap over someone like a gazelle. Or he'd have all day and then find Dawson Knox downfield because Dan Sorensen quit covering him because he thought Josh Allen couldn't throw the ball that far, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. Nick Bolton can't cover. Anthony Hitchens might have come into camp at a less weight than previous years, but he's making mistakes that veterans shouldn't make and isn't moving fast enough to be in the middle of a defense. Willie Gay is working his way back from a toe injury. Was active tonight, which is nice. You're going to have to manage his toe all the way into January, and you'd like to say February. Right now, you probably shouldn't. Travarius Ward didn't play in this game. Plenty of times, any various number of corners got beat because Josh Allen was averaging like 30 yards per completion at some point, which is unbelievable. I'll continue to steal this phrase that I believe was coined by Seth Kaiser in a recent piece of his. But Spags isn't calling at any point a play where you say, hey, don't cover that guy. So you can be frustrated with Steve Spagnuolo. You can be frustrated with how he uses his personnel. You can be frustrated with when he does and doesn't blitz. You can be frustrated with any number of things. And again, any criticism you come in with tonight, I think you're probably going to have something to it. Because I don't know that anybody played uncriticizable football. But I also don't think that it's his fault that no one can tackle Josh Allen or cover a tight end downfield. Should that be Dan Sorensen's responsibility? No. I also don't know who it should be. Because it shouldn't be Nick Bolton's, and it shouldn't be Anthony Hitchens. And if it's L'Jarius Sneed, then who's covering Stephon Diggs or Emmanuel Sanders? Because that group is really thin. But this is, and there were some tweets that I thought were a little bit short-sighted of some people who have thrown out the case of the Chiefs just need to they just need to overhaul this defense. They need to, the whole next draft, they just need to draft nothing but defenders. They got to revamp this defense completely, cut everyone who's not on a rookie contract, all that stuff. And you're not wrong that it needs an influx of talent, but let me just roll through some things here. Nick Bolton, 2nd-round pick. Josh Kando, 4th-round pick. That's in last year's draft. Previous year, 2020, Willie Gay, 2nd-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed, 4th-round pick. Mike Dana, 5th-round pick. Bo Pete Keys, 7th-round pick. Not here anymore. 2019, Juan Thornhill, 2nd-round pick. Colin Saunders, 3rd-round pick. Rashad Fenton, who had some good moments tonight, 6th-round pick. 2018, Breeland Speaks, 2nd-round pick. Derek Nottie, 3rd-round pick. Dorian O'Daniel, 3rd-round pick. Armani Watts, 4th-round pick. Tremon Smith, 6th-round pick. Defenders all the way down until the last pick where they took Khalil McKenzie and tried to convert him from a defensive tackle to a guard. Didn't work. And I don't even really want to do like a Brett Veach show here today because it's more complicated than that, and it's not what I really want to talk about tonight, honestly. But that first draft was abysmal, obviously. And they have invested in the defense. That defensive line, they spent a good chunk of money on a one-year deal for Jarran Reed, who has been invisible. I mentioned Derek Nottie. I mentioned Colin Saunders. Both guys they invested a 2nd and 3rd round pick in. Chris Jones making a lot of money. Obviously, didn't play tonight. Frank Clark is making a lot of money and has played in 2 games and made virtually no impact. Mike Dana probably shouldn't be starting in a defense. Wouldn't be if Jones and Clark were both healthy. But again, they haven't been. The linebacker position, they're paying a lot of money to Anthony Hitchens, and they've got the 2 second-round linebackers. Safety position, you've got Dan Sorensen, who's been here forever. Second-round pick in Juan Thornhill, and a lot of money for Tyrann Mathieu. That's probably going to lead to a lot more money pretty soon. Honestly, I don't know if there's a logic to not extending Tyrann Mathieu after this year, because if there's something to hey, if we can pay you all the money in the world, it's not going to matter. You can't fix this. We got to spread the wealth a little bit and get some more talent on here. The position they haven't invested in has been corner, and that's been the case the entire time that Spags has been here and that Veach has been the GM, and it's worked out in the past. It stopped working out when Ward was hurt. Ward is hurt when Fenton was also hurt. All of the depth issues that have been tested. I told you about that this offseason. I told you that an injury or two was going to totally decimate this cornerback group. And now here we are. But they've invested a lot in this defense. I'll also go ahead and steal a point from a dear friend of the show, of the station, etc., Kent Swanson of KC Sports Network. They've invested in limited players. High picks. Nick Bolton is a limited linebacker. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not a straight line speed guy. He's not a stretch runner. He's not going to turn a 12-yard run into a 80-yard touchdown. Willie Gay came in very raw. Lucas Niang came in as a TBD product. Creed Humphrey looks great. Josh Kando is a bundle of talent that never put it into production. They've invested. Anthony Hitchens is a pretty limited player for the amount of money that he's making. There have just been bad investments and choices made that ultimately haven't all made sense and certainly haven't all worked out. They gave a ton of money to Joe Thuney. His cap hit isn't going to hit until next year. Right now, he's super cheap because that first year can be super cheap. But in a couple of years, we might be talking about, hey, it's great that the Chiefs have 2 Pro Bowl caliber guards on either side of Creed Humphrey, but the defense can't stop anybody. It's why a move like signing Joe Thuney, where everyone understands that he's an elite player at that position, but he's a guard. The positional value comes into those conversations. It's why the conversations about drafting a running back in the first round or 2 linebackers in back-to-back drafts in the second round. It's why those conversations matter. Because drafting a run-stuffing linebacker to replace Anthony Hitchens next year after you kind of get bailed out from that bad investment is paying off your credit card debt before you're paying off your actual issues. They're going to be paying Anthony Hitchens a decent chunk of dead money if they do move on from him next year. And if so, they have to replace another linebacker and probably keep Ben Neiman, who everybody hates. This is why positional value matters as a conversation point. It's frustrating because they just don't seem very good right now. And that's something I've not said about this team while it's been quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes. And because the offense seemed broken and out of sync tonight. Mahomes was skipping passes. Everything was short. He doesn't seem to trust that offensive line right now. Everything was out of sync. The defense was really bad at the beginning and then ended up actually trying to give the offense some chances. And they flipped it right back over again. I'm spending the start of the show talking about the defense because they're not going to change anything offensively. This seemed out of character for the offense. I'm not sure it's out of character for the defense. That is what it is, I guess. We need to take a quick break, a real short one. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got to take a quick break before the clock strikes midnight. And then before long, we'll hear from whoever the Chiefs bring to the podium. It'll definitely include Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Everybody else is TBD. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Listen up, sporting fans. Central Bank of the Midwest invites you to score a better banking experience with our new sporting checking account. Now you can show off your team spirit at the match or on the go with the official sporting debit card. Plus, you'll gain access to Central Bank's award-winning mobile app with more than 30,000 reviews and a 4.9-star rating. So, score big today by opening your sporting checking account at any of our convenient Central Bank locations or by visiting sportingchecking.com. Member FDIC.
If you're looking for a new vehicle, you need to check out Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia. They've got a large selection, including the redesigned 2021 Kia Sorento with an upscale new interior, the 22 Telluride, which is one of the best values on the market, or the first ever 2022 Carnival. Plus, all new Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Visit OlatheKia.com to find the Kia you're looking for, with incredible incentives and dealer discounts. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, just a short drive from I-35. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Plus, players have 3 nights a week to play Powerball. Now Monday nights. Every ticket you play creates opportunities for Missouri students. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Just like Kansas City, Audi Shawnee Mission knows how to win. Come in today to see why Audi Shawnee Mission is rated one of the top dealers in the Central region by Audi of America. Stop in at Audi of Shawnee Mission and experience their brand new state-of-the-art facility. It's easy to get to directly off I-35 in Merriam, at the corner of I-35 and 67th Street. Audi of Shawnee Mission is a proud supporter of our hometown team in red. Come see why they are champions too. Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a Pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
Hey Kansas City, it's Dustin Colquitt. Did you know that on average, Americans spend about 15 hours shopping for a car? That's almost 5 football games. If you have better things to do with your time and want to avoid stress, check out the concierge service at OneRequest.com. The OneRequest concierge team will find your car, negotiate the deal, review the paperwork, and arrange delivery. You got a trade-in? They'll handle that too. Experience car shopping made easy at OneRequest.com. Don't forget, that's OneRequest.com.
WHB Kansas City.
Hill comes out. Old Diamond just inside the tube. And it winds up in the hands of Kelsey for the touchdown. Quick snap. Different formation they've used at any point tonight. The rain begins to come down again, but the Chiefs are back in the game.
It didn't last a very long time, but they were back in the game for the time being, and that is our sweet play of the game brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. It's pie season at Andy's. Be sure to try their famous pumpkin pie concrete or apple pie sundae this fall. A perfect post-game stop or anytime stop. Andy's Frozen Custard. I gotta tell you what, I'm not in a great mood right now. The show's starting super duper late. Obviously, the Chiefs lost in a game that was incredibly frustrating and largely incompetent. But I feel like a little bit of Andy's Frozen Custard right now would really turn that right around. I could use that. I think that we all probably could. So thank you to Andy's Frozen Custard for bringing, just even thinking about them, brings a smile to my face. Even though I can't taste it right now, I can imagine it. I'd like to be able to imagine a win or a better defensive performance or any number of things going better than it actually did tonight. Quick injury update here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hurt his left knee. The Chiefs are going to wait and see on that. Tyreek Hill hurt his knee. He was in there to the end of the game. Joe Thuney fractured his hand. I think he was in the entire game. I didn't see any injury report on that. I don't know if that happened very, very late. I don't know. I'm not sure when that happened or what the severity of that would be, particularly for an offensive lineman. But that's not ideal. Travis Kelce had a stinger on that hit at the end, and then Chris Lamons had a skin laceration, which I think is just a cut, right? Wouldn't that just be a cut of some sort? Maybe it's a especially gruesome one. I'm not sure. We will hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, some others at some point. Maybe they put Tyrann Mathieu out there today. I imagine we hear from somebody offensively and defensively in addition to hearing from Patrick Mahomes. We'll see. But we have time to get through a few quick calls here. We'll open up with Gary. Gary, you're first in line. What's on your mind?
Well, after watching that game tonight, there's a lot of problems, and those problems aren't going to be fixed anytime soon. One of the things I think needs to happen is you're going to have to, and I know it won't be popular, but you're going to have to keep Andy on the coaching side and let the GM build the football team, because Andy's got his hands all over this, and this is his team. This is the culture that he's created. And everybody talks about he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. Well, this season he brought his checkerboard with him, and he's getting pants because the great coaches keep moving, keep evolving. He's not evolving. This is a team, and you're not going to agree with me. They expect 15 to bail them out, game in and game out. 15 will fix it. 15 will take care of this. Let's just make sure we got 15 ready to go. Well, this is a team game, and you're going to have a lot of needs. You're looking at probably needing another right tackle because he's been putrid. Your left tackle, he's a turnstile too. He can't play in this offense. Defensively, you've got a lot of holes. But did you notice tonight Mr. Basham and Mr. Rousseau were first and second round picks in this year's draft that we just had?
Yeah.
And amazing. They can make plays.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know. I didn't think it was possible. I just thought it was a big pipe dream that these guys could do this. But I don't know. Andy, he's a good guy, but I'm just not sure he's the guy that can turn this thing around. I know, he won a Super Bowl and that, but when I look at the way it ended in Philadelphia for him and the way things are going here right now, and if you want to compare this team to something, I'd compare them to the 98 Chiefs. That's what they really remind me of, a team that they're just going through the motions. They don't care, and they think that as long as 15's out there, they're going to win every game, and the 15 can't carry this team, and we're seeing it now. I'll hang up and listen. Great show, Josh.
Appreciate it, Gary. Always appreciate hearing from you. And in fact, Gary said I'm not going to agree with him, and I'm gonna see if I can try to have a little bit of a bridge here. I've got some things I might agree with a little bit and some things I disagree with a little bit. Andy Reid's continued to evolve as an offensive mind, but also I do think there's something to the Chiefs thinking that Mahomes is going to bail them out. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Here's Tyrann Mathieu live from Arrowhead.
I do that on good players as well. I always have my hands in the air, but kind of embarrassing.
Tyrann, how do you explain what happened tonight? You said the same issues keep popping up over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think we honestly, I think we're just beating ourselves. If you really look back at it, you go back to the Ravens game, miscommunication, blown coverages, Chargers game, kind of the same, thing. And then tonight, I think most of the explosive pass plays were guys just running, wide open down the field. So obviously we don't practice that, you know what I mean? Our coaches don't teach that. Just got to find a way to dig deep, man. Every team we play wants to beat us, and they want to beat us bad. You know what I mean? So I think if we have to understand that, we come into these kind of games.
In the first year, it seemed like this season back in 2019, your first year, it seemed like there was some understanding that those types of things would happen as you guys learned your scheme. The fact that it's happening now, while you guys have been together for 3 years, can you pinpoint why that would be?
Well, I think for one, you can't keep every player, so our room has changed, the first year to the second year to even this year. So there's some new faces. It's definitely not an excuse. I feel like we practice really hard. We detail our work. I don't know what it is. Obviously, we're not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. Our coaches aren't going to give up. and this is still a long season for us. You know, I mean, obviously we don't want to be 2-3. That's not our expectations. But we do have a lot of football left to play, and so, you know, you kind of put these games behind you and you just look forward to kind of turning the page, you know, going forward.
You talked about, you know, after the Baltimore loss, you know, about the looking at you all, maybe the call, so to speak. What you all are seeing on film coming off these losses and then just immediately coming off this off, what are teams doing that you all are, you know, that is you're posing problems for the defense? Is this something that they're beating on the line of scrimmage? And then, you know,
No, I don't think it's that at all. Obviously, those guys get paid too. They get coached up too. But if you really look back at it, it's missed tackles, it's blown coverages, and that's really like kind of the theme. You know, so if we could stop some of these tackles, teams are in 3rd and long. You know, if we don't miscommunicate on a 3rd down, then we're off the field. We get the ball back to our offense. So we just got to find a way to stop the bleeding when it's happening, and then, you know, try our best to get it right. And I think you look back on it too, I don't think we have a turnover the last 3 weeks. So that's a big part of this game too, getting the ball back to your offense.
I mean, with the way you guys have played Josh Allen before, this is 3 times now in however many games, just what challenges does he present and where does he maybe improve?
Well, he's definitely grown as a quarterback. You know, even tonight, you know, some of his scrambles, you know, him realizing our certain coverages we were in, you know, the middle of the field is wide open, and he didn't hesitate. You know, he took those 30, 20 yards, 15 yards, whatever he could get. So he's definitely growing in his league. He's getting better. But once again, I don't think that they've done anything that we didn't practice for or prepare for. It's a simple game. Cover your guy, make the tackle, inside out. And when you don't do those things, it's embarrassing. It looks bad. You know what I mean? Well, you just try your best to set a good example, first of all. You know, obviously, you know, I feel like I could make more plays. And, you know, obviously teams aren't going to let me make certain plays, but, you know, you got to kind of take the bull by the horn sometimes. So for me, it's all about continuing to lead these guys, you know, in the right way. I think my emotion, my spirit, it could go left or right, and I think for me it's important for me to kind of continue to, you know, push these guys in a positive direction, because I know we still have a good football team, you know. So, but we're struggling right now, obviously. But like I mentioned earlier, it's a long season, and I think we'll be able to get it right.
What was better for you guys in the 3rd quarter? Coach mentioned that you guys got from 3 and out to 4 and out to 3 and out. You had the long halftime. Take us through what halftime was like and what worked better for y'all in the 3rd quarter.
Well, halftime was really simple. Like I said, we went through a few adjustments, and then, you know, we came out there, you know, halftime. Obviously, when you're down, you know, your hair is on fire. Every play counts again, you know. And I just thought we took the field in the second half with the sense of urgency that we should have taken it in the first half. So I think as a defense overall, we could continue to grow, and I know we will.
A couple of answers ago, you said something like, we've got to understand that other teams want to beat us really bad. I want to make sure people understand what you mean by that.
Well, you know, guys stay up late. Coaches stay up late. These guys come in our stadium and all they want to do is win. And so I say that to say it's a certain urgency you have to have, you know, when you play for the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, knowing that, you know, everybody in this league, they want what we have, you know, the Mahomes and just the kills and all the success we've had. Teams are chasing that, you know, that glory. So, I mean, each and every week we're going to Washington next week, and they're going to want to beat us, you know. So every game is important here on out.
How do you get your guys to match that intensity that you know teams are coming in here to try to beat you?
Well, you keep chipping away. You know, you keep chipping away. Things might not, you know, be going the way that you want it to go at the moment, but if you keep doing it, you keep your routine up, you know, you keep pressing it. I think at some point you break through. I thought we were able to do that, 2019. I thought 2020, we were able to do that as well, and I look forward to seeing us do that, this season.
Okay, thanks, Tyrann. Appreciate it.
There's Tyrann Mathieu live here on Sports Radio 810. I think that's the attitude you want from your, defensive leader that way. I also don't think he's got any particular answers. I don't think that's his fault that he doesn't have answers, because I don't have answers. I don't think Spags has answers. I don't think the Chiefs have answers. Whenever you talk about, intensity and senses of urgency, that's sort of frustrating because you have to have an explanation for why that's not there to start. Why is there a lack of a sense of urgency at any point? You only get to play 17 of these games in the regular season. You're 500 coming into this one. Were you not ready for the game? Like that part is frustrating to me, because if I got to the end of a post-game show and at the end of the show, somebody asked, I didn't think that show you didn't do a very good job. You accidentally hung up on 3 callers. You cursed one time, and you only went for 90 minutes. What happened there? You know what? I just didn't have the right sense of urgency. I got to focus more. Like, well, hold on. Why weren't you focused when you were doing the show? That's not a very good excuse. Just generally speaking, in life in general. Saying, we weren't really dialed in. Well, but why then? And so here's the thing, and here's where no player can say this, so I'm going to say this again. It's not a particularly talented unit, especially whenever it goes up against an offense that has a lot of talent, that has a lot of speed. It's been the issue because the Chiefs have gone up against good opponents. That's not a cop-out. That's just true. The Eagles' offense is the worst of what they've seen so far, and it looked pretty good against them still. But the Browns, Ravens, Chargers, and Bills are... You can make an argument that the 4 of them and the Chiefs, I'm probably glossing over somebody, you can make an argument, though, the 4 of them and the Chiefs are the 5 best teams in the AFC. You could probably build that case. Maybe I'm leaving out somebody that I should be leaving it and whatever. But that's fair. What is concerning, though, is that those are the teams you have to play again in January. And I don't think the Chiefs have the talent in coverage to keep up with any of those guys' best receivers. I don't think that any of the Chiefs linebackers as a group are not going to do anything to slow down Nick Chubb if he gets to that front line. Right now, that pass rush is not getting home, and even whenever they did, like they were able to do occasionally against the Eagles, it's too late because the ball's already out. Because somebody's open on the flat. The communication is bad. Blown coverages. Dan Sorensen peels off of the tight end 45 yards downfield because he just didn't think he didn't think that Josh Allen could throw it that far, or whatever. And the upsetting thing about that is those aren't really fixable issues in the grand scheme of things. I did want to touch on a couple things that Gary mentioned, and I'm going to take some more calls here. I think that Andy Reid has already stepped back and learned from his time in Philly in terms of like, hey, I don't actually really want to be the shadow GM. I do think it's Brett Veach's roster, but things get kind of run through Andy Reid. If Andy Reid said, I don't want Josh Gordon, I don't think Josh Gordon is on this team, I think Veach and Reid are on the same page frequently. I would have to imagine most of the time. And so I don't necessarily think that that's where the issue is. But I do think that whatever the group of personnel evaluators are, it's hard to have a group look like this and to say that it's been well built. There's been a negative regression from this group because even the large number of guys who were here last year who were playing worse off than they were in previous iterations with the Chiefs, that's really frustrating. Because in their roles, Dan Sorensen, Alex Okafor, Anthony Hitchens, whoever you can pick any of these guys and say, well, they were able to play a role at one point or another. And this year, everyone seems like they've gotten worse. And Jarran Reed is the addition that's been the most underwhelming of the new guys. I do think there's a little bit of, Mahomes will bail us out. Let's build around him completely, which I think you do want to build around him and get him as many weapons as possible. But this offseason was disappointing everywhere except for the offensive line, which, as Gary mentioned, I've seen some tweets about this also, Lucas Niang does seem to have struggled. I'm kind of waiting on Seth to do another look at the offensive line. I'll be curious to see what this game ends up producing because it seems like the interior held up pretty well and the tackles are getting beat pretty frequently, which, are you going to pay Orlando Brown Jr. a ton of money this offseason? I don't know. You got a lot of sample size left still. You're going to get to see 12 more games plus playoffs, hopefully, right? But they're going to have some decisions to make there. I don't know if Orlando Brown is going to end up being able to play in this offense in the way that the Chiefs want to run it. I don't know if Lucas Niang is either. I think both of them will, but I'm not willing to bet a tremendous amount of money or let's say a tremendous amount of money on it, which they're going to have to eventually bet on Orlando Brown or not. I think a lot of these questions I think are really valid. Let's go to Butch up next. Butch, I know you'll lift our spirits a little bit, even if not all the way back up. How you feeling?
Gentlemen, usually I come in here and I say some things like, "How about those Chiefs?" Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to hear all the talk that you need and want to hear about why your team isn't talented enough. And Josh, you hinted at it. I think you're just saying it flat out right. And you are correct. This team does not have the talent necessary to compete with the teams that they need to beat to be a Super Bowl winning team, which has its own implications. It has its implications about what they're going to do with the roster going forward. I wanted another championship with this core group, and I don't give up hope very easily, but it looks like that may not be the case this year, and then they will have to retool it. So I think that's the sort of the route we're heading to, or at least that's what I'm hearing, both from you and from other callers, which I'm leaning towards myself.
Yeah.
I'll say these few parts, and then I'll get off the phone here. When I looked at this game, in particular with the Chiefs, what I saw, even before when I was studying Buffalo, and their weeks before this, I said, oh, my God, it looks like there's 12 of them on both sides of the field.
Yeah.
When they played most teams. And it happened again, guys.
Yeah.
It happened to you, and you don't have any excuses. This isn't a Chris Jones, Charvarius Ward away from changing. You have a small fraction of time right now to retool this. It's not over with yet. Super Bowls aren't won and lost in October. You have a small frame of time. You maybe don't have the talent, but if you can get it to a one-off game, you maybe can make your team physical enough to be able to hold up to what you just saw. You can do that. You can play better in a phone booth. You'll be a little bit better. The question is, does Andy and his team, his coaches, do they have the gusto, the cojones to do it now? Because you got to do it now. You can't wait. We'll see.
Butch, I appreciate it as always, sir. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot there that you look in the future as well. If you do start peeking ahead, where the money starts coming off the cap, where you can start retooling some things. But again, you don't want to call it quits on this entire season because you're not the Bears. You're not an inept team that's playing for the future. You have a year of Patrick Mahomes right now on, let's see, what's his cap hit? $7.5 million. This is the window. This is the window for the Chiefs. The best window they're going to have is like this year is sort of the end of the comically small Patrick Mahomes cap hits. Next year it's $35 million. That is deeply frustrating and deeply disappointing. Let's take another caller here, Beards. That we're going to take a couple more, and then we'll eventually get to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Byron Pringle. Do we know if there's going to be somebody else coming up shortly?
We think so. Don't know who yet.
Okay. Well, let's take JP really quick. JP, what's on your mind? JP, you got us?
Josh, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. Good. How are you?
Hey, everything that you've said tonight, I totally agree with you and a lot of your callers. The one thing that I wonder about is, like, has Andy gotten to the point where he's, I don't know, I think he's a little bit too old. I also think that, that, of course, the defense is terrible. And also, it did seem as though Patrick was everything that he was throwing. A lot of the stuff that he was throwing was down at people's feet.
Yeah.
Tonight, I was disappointed in him. This team just doesn't seem like it knows where it wants to be or where it's going, and I think that it starts at the top. Really, you guys know all the stats and all that other stuff as far as where they drafted and all, but it just seems to me like they haven't done a good job, and I'm talking about from literally the top down. And Andy just seems like he just seems like he's old. I don't know. I'll listen to you up here.
I appreciate it, JP. I don't know. I definitely think he can seem old in a press conference, for lack of a kinder term, because that's, I think, when you kind of get the most reserved kind of ho-hum version of Andy Reid. You see him in the locker room after a win. He hits him with the "How about those Chiefs?" and everybody, rages in the circle in the locker room. And I don't think he seems old. So the reports and the stories of him getting to the office at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, getting to the stadium, whatever, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, doesn't seem like a guy who's running out of gas. I really, really, really hesitate to ascribe that to him. But there are mistakes that are frustrating that I think are tendencies of a coach who's been doing it for a long time. But also, especially whenever you hear about the stories of him and Mahomes working together, I think Mahomes is going to keep him younger and keep the energy and the youthfulness there for him. But he has been doing it for a long time. So I don't know. I don't get old from Andy Reid. I do get some tendencies, again, of a coach that's been doing it for a while. Specifically mentioning Mahomes throwing at everybody's feet tonight, I definitely noticed that and thought it was very, very strange. Because even if you think back to younger Mahomes, the last couple of years, really, occasionally in primetime games, remember he would sail a few balls, especially in the first drive or two, and people would talk about him being really amped, be a little too tightly wound. I remember talking about that every once in a while and going, man, that's kind of an issue for Mahomes. I can't think of a time that he's been skipping passes. And I don't know if that's this word is too extreme, but I don't know if that's a little bit of timidity or if it's concern of, I want to be more careful with the football because the Chiefs have obviously had turnover problems over the course of this season to this point. Now, look, there was an awesome piece in The Athletic a couple days ago. There was an awesome piece in The Athletic a couple days ago about 15 stories about Patrick Mahomes and how competitive he is, and times that that the Chiefs have been down and people have gone over and said, hey, man, keep firing. He says, hey, stop talking to me. What do you think I'm going to do? Of course I'm going to keep firing. That kind of stuff. I don't think Mahomes is timid. That word is far, far stronger than I think the truth would be. But I wonder if there's any element of, again, I'm just trying to keep the ball down and not have anything sail. I don't want to put the ball in a bad place. I need to be more careful with the football because if I put our defense under the spotlight, I know they're not going to be able to consistently create stops. Or something is wrong with his hand or his finger or his wrist or whatever. I really don't know. That's something I'll be keeping an eye out for in the days and weeks and months to come. Is that a trend for Mahomes, or is that a blip on the radar that's a weird little anomaly from tonight's game? I don't know, but it's very out of character. And maybe it's a game. It could be anything. Because right now we're not getting any sort of information on that. Maybe he talks about it in his post-game press conference. We'll find that out in a little bit because it certainly was a tendency tonight. Beards, let's take the next two calls and then we'll get to Byron Pringle. Let's go ahead and a couple people have been waiting a very long time. We'll go to Jabba. Jabba, oops, wrong button. Sorry there, Jabba. I hope that you speak English and not whatever language Jabba the Hutt speaks. What's up, man?
Hello?
Yeah, what's going on?
Josh, first and foremost, I'm glad you're doing good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Had us all a little worried.
Yeah, I know. I didn't do it on purpose, I promise.
Oh, I know. I'm glad you're doing good, buddy.
Thank you.
So that's most important. Chiefs don't look too good right now. Mahomes didn't look good tonight.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this team can turn it around. At least I hope they can. I mean, for me, they at least brought me a ring in my lifetime like the Royals did, so that's a positive.
Right.
But defense is just terrible.
It's and they got stops in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, they made some good stops, but, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's spags, communication. I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
I think they'll get it figured out. At least I hope.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate the well wishes as well. Appreciate you listening and calling in. And you're right. I'll say this again. This is a crazy thing. And also there was a tweet I got earlier that I don't have in front of me. So apologies to the listener from Nick on Twitter. Nick tweeted and mentioned like they made some stops, but also gave up 40. Like not literally 40 tonight. It was 38, and they will give up 40 while making stops. Tonight, they gave up 7 points in the third quarter and 7 points in the fourth quarter and gave up 38. I don't know how that happens.
The Bills got the ball at the Chiefs, 30-yard line off an interception and then punted.
Moved backwards and punted. The Chiefs turned the ball over 4 times tonight. It would have made sense for the Bills to end up with over 40. So that's another part of it that's kind of confusing. I think everything we've talked about so far tonight in terms of the defense not being all that talented right now is all totally valid and fair and true. And also, they did make some stops and the offense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain, which is frustrating because that's something you expect from the Chiefs every time. One more call here, and then we'll get to Byron Pringle, but let's hear from Dan. Dan, what's on your mind?
Hey, Josh, how you doing? Yeah, it wasn't the result we were looking for, but hey, look, it was two touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, one to Travis Kelce and one to Byron Pringle. And not the bad. I can't understand what Sorensen was thinking. Letting Knox go like that. He resented Josh Allen's arm or not. You got to play their coverage in that. I really was frustrated on that one, but I still think the defense will turn around. Spags will get it together. Let's take care of we play Washington next week. Take care of yourself, Josh.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. I appreciate Dan's energy. It does pick me up a little bit. Get a nice little pick me up. Yeah, because look, I do think that these next 3 games, because the next 3 games are Washington, Tennessee, and the Giants, and the Chiefs should beat all 3 of those teams if me, Beards, and Rudy have to end up getting a few snaps defensively. I don't know what it's going to take for Dan Sorensen to get less work. I would rather see Armani Watts on the field in sub packages at least a little bit, see what happens. It simply can't. It doesn't seem like it can get worse. The Knox touchdown is absolutely mind-bogglingly brutal because you're not. It's not a tight end that you're letting go deep downfield behind you with even, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a quarterback that wouldn't make that throw, but in the modern NFL, it's pretty much everybody. Davis Mills is going to try to air that one out, but it's Josh Allen. Like, it's the dude with either the biggest or second biggest chooch in the league. What do you, like, there's no, he just got lost. Dan Sorensen just lost his bearings. And the Bills then, go right over the top. You know what? I'm going to take Matt's call here, and then we'll get to Byron Pringle. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you're on the Sports Radio 810 postgame show. What's up?
Man, that's hard to follow that guy. It sounded like he was trying to sell us gambling ads, but
he's got a good energy that I appreciate as sort of a little midnight 30 little pick me up. I gotta say.
I get you. Man, let me get right to it. Clyde going down sucks. Some of the play calling wasn't great.
Yep.
But I'll say this: defensively, we hurt without Ward out there, but we just did not. I mean, we got blitzkrieged on the opening drive, and just couldn't kind of. Pat was off tonight,
Yep.
And it's tough, but moving forward with this team, they've got to. I mean, really, they've just got to kind of buckle down and figure out a way to get wins. And Spags' defense on that screen pass, both linebackers turned their heads.
Yeah,
that was
brutal. That play was brutal. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just kind of had the thought of I haven't mentioned that play yet, and that play made me absolutely crazy. So if you got anything else, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but on that, I mean, hey, I love Nick Bolton. I'm not an MU guy. He's learning on the fly, but but Hitchens on that play, like somebody's got to stay with him.
Yep.
And it was just like a really quick thing, and somebody ran with nobody. But the drop passes tonight were big, with our guys. I mean, it's like, when we're struggling, when things are going bad, like Pat's throwing at feet, like people said, things aren't going well. I mean, guys got to make catches, and that's the thing, man. We've got a huge X on our back. It's been multiple years, and last year being kind of a COVID year without fans in the stadium and everything else. I mean, teams are wanting to kick our butt.
Yeah.
So,
It's tough. Matt, appreciate the call. Thank you for listening as well. Because you're right. It's the linebackers on that play is a great microcosm of everything that went wrong. You can go to Mahomes throwing at the feet. You can go to the receivers dropping passes. You can go to the offensive line not doing a good enough job protecting Mahomes. The pass rush did not sack Josh Allen one time. Again, the only hit I really remember all night was the one that ended up being the roughing the passer call, which, again, not a good call. But also, I don't have any energy to spend on that because everything else is frustrating too. And that one you can't really control. And I'd rather talk about things that the team could theoretically be able to control, or at least be able to talk about elements of this that they put themselves into, right? And there's plenty of that to get us through an entire show. Let's hear from Byron Pringle, Chiefs receiver. Did catch a touchdown tonight. Had a bad fumble early on. Would have been nice to only have gotten the good. But, with Byron Pringle, good and bad, they say that once you pop, you can't stop.
What did it feel like? How did it feel to get back out there?
It's always a blessing to be on the field, but not coming up with a dub, I always take toll about. Oh, it just always take toll on you, not coming away with the dub.
We're not in there anymore, obviously. Can you just describe what the locker room was like?
We just need to find a way. Everybody know that we just need to find a way to be great, like we normally be, and get back to ourselves.
Hey, Byron, over the last couple of games, I noticed you're fielding the ball in the end zone and you're taking it out. Is this something that they told said to be aggressive back there, or is this you get out to you to decide when to come out of the end zone?
He just leave it up to me, and I just come out, just come out being aggressive, not let teams know that I'm not afraid of them.
Byron, can you describe what you saw in your touchdown?
I seen Pat rolling out, and I running out of real estate on the sideline, so I just ran to open field. Pat, he always be keeping his eyes on his receiver, so he threw me the ball, I got to make a catch,
Byron, you've fumbled on kickoff for Giants 2 straight weeks now. Is something you put your finger on there?
Yes, sir. I take full credit about fumbling. I need to secure the football more, protect it and put us in good field position.
Byron, tough loss, but what gives you confidence in your guys that you guys can get it figured out just moving forward?
We know what we need to do. We need to start faster and just come out on fire at the beginning for 4 quarters straight.
There's Byron Pringle, and that is about the halfway point of our locker room report, brought to you by Twin Peaks.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. The Missouri Lottery and Hy-Vee want to send you and a guest to Denver to watch the Chiefs take on the Broncos. Purchase a $2 Missouri Lottery Powerball ticket at participating Hy-Vee grocery and gas locations to get your chance to win. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. We'll take a break. Whenever we come back, we may get Matt Derrick, our friend from Chiefs Digest. We may get a little bit of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. We may take a couple of the calls that are currently on the line. We're going to figure it out in the next few minutes, so stick around and find out what we do next here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
You're listening to exclusive postgame coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Join Union Broadcasting in thanking local companies that care. Union Broadcasting salutes CBD American Shaman for their support of the Derek Thomas and Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation, sacking illiteracy among urban youth. Through social, cultural, and educational activities, the Third and Long Foundation helps participating children in school and beyond. You can also help by donating at thirdandlong.org. Thank you, CBD American Shaman, for being a company that cares.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Joslin, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big high B. Joslin's Jewelry. We're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the biggest Callaway trade-in event of the year. Starting this Thursday through Sunday, bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 75% trade-in bonus towards new Apex irons and Epic woods. Both the Apex and Epic families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com or call the store nearest you to schedule your free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Sports Radio 810 is proud to be Kansas City's home for the National Football League.
Winds up, he throws a long pass, wide open Hill, catches the ball at the 22 of San Francisco. What a play by Mahomes!
From Monday night to Sunday night, and every game in between. Keep it right here on your exclusive home for the NFL, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl.
The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC is proud to be family-owned, serving the Kansas City area for over 25 years. At Brogdon, you'll always find incredible incentives like 0% for 72 months on many models, including the new 2021 Buick Enclave and Envision or GMC Terrain. And they don't just sell cars, they buy them too. Even if you don't trade your vehicle to Brogdon, they'll still buy yours. Visit the #1 General Motors dealership in Kansas on I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe or at robertbrogdon.com. Must qualify and finance through GMF for special APR.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
It's called GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City. This is the 15th season the Chiefs have played here.
Mahomes out wide.
They've done this a few times this year. You got Kelsey was there. Now you got Hill. He comes out. Now Mahomes comes back in. Okay? Now it's more conventional. Finally, Mahomes fires. Caught. Pringle. Touchdown, Kansas City.
That play was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed all of the window dressing in this year's offense. Wish we got a little more of it today, but that play is good enough to be our Mahomes magic moment of the game, brought to you by BOK Financial. The Mahomes magic moment is brought to you by BOK Financial. Whatever you want your company to be, there's BOK Financial. Be ready with BOK Financial, member FDIC. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. I'm Joshua Brisco. If you want to sound off on anything going on around the game, the phone lines are full right now, and we are efforting to get Matt Derrick on. If you want to get in touch any number of other ways, you can also watch the show. Are we on Facebook and YouTube right now? Twitch is down today for us, Beards.
Twitch was having connection issues, so just Facebook and YouTube.
So you can watch the show on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook or YouTube pages, and then you can also tweet me if you'd like at JB Brisco on Twitter. Royce tweets in and saying McColl and Pringle overexposed, you think? To some extent, this might be a quiet surprise to some people, but McColl Hardman actually led the Chiefs in yards today, receiving 9 receptions for 76 yards, 8.4 yards on average. He actually had a few catches that were downfield, which has been a rarity to be kind so far this season. Most of his stuff has been right at the line of scrimmage. It was a target to him at the line of scrimmage that got picked off by Gregory Rousseau that was tipped up and caught there, so that was a frustrating one. But, nice to see Hardman get involved a little bit more. A nice catch down the sideline that was initially ruled out of bounds, but he definitely did get in. They got the call right eventually. So, again, some nice moments from a guy like Hardman. But, yeah, that's why they brought in Josh Gordon to some extent, who had a catch early in the game, looked pretty good there. That was it for him today. But, there was that one particular play where Mahomes had 8 seconds in the pocket. I think it was 7.99 on the TV replay of it. If you have 8 seconds, even when you're only rushing 4, you'd like to see somebody get open. And I'd have to go back and look to see what were they doing to Hill and Kelsey. But theoretically, those are the guys that you key in on if you're an opposing defense. And if you're an opposing defense and you do put all of your effort on those two guys, somebody else needs to be able to step up and create some separation. We just haven't seen that yet. It's frustrating. Also, again, Joe Thuney fractured a hand in this game. I'm not even sure if you know which hand, but I fear what that may end up looking like, because that could be a little bit concerning in the long run. Nick Allegretti still on this roster. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif has been a healthy scratch, so they have some depth there, but obviously they brought in Thuney for the sake of really upgrading that position on the interior. In fact, let's hear the full injury report from Andy Reid, his opening statement, and the injury update, which was longer than usual, longer than it usually is so far this season, with a decent number of injuries the Chiefs are going to have to deal with. But first, let me tell you who is providing this Andy Reid press conference to you.
Andy Reid is presented by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon Olathe Kia. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. And by Andy's Frozen Custard. Let me tell you about my other favorite Andy. Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from KC, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Grab a pick 6 from one of 9 area locations and tailgate at Andy's. Grab one today.
The Chiefs are below 500. Let's hear from the head coach. Here's Andy Reid.
All right, as far as injuries go, Clyde hurt his left knee. We'll just see how it goes overnight here and into tomorrow. Tyreek also hurt his knee a little bit, and then Thuney fractured a hand, and then Chris Layman's he's okay. He had a skin laceration, will be fine, and then Kelsey had a little bit of a stinger. So, listen, all in all, Buffalo did a nice job against us. They were better than we were tonight. Way too many penalties, turnovers. It's got to stop. Too many long shots on us in the first half from a defensive standpoint. We got to take care of that. I've seen it now in the third quarter, what we can do, and that's what I expect to be done as we go. And I expect the offense to follow with getting rid of the turnovers and the penalties. I mean, those are things that we can change, and we've got to do that. Hard to compete in this league by doing those things that we're doing. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
I think everything Andy Reid said there is objectively factual in terms of Buffalo is better, too many penalties, too many deep shots. Did see a better version of the defense, of course, in the third quarter and the fourth quarter to some extent as well. The one thing that I'm always going to be left wanting on, and I just sort of accept it at this point, I would love to get some specifics on how they get better at those things, which again, he's not going to really volunteer, even if he can summarize it in a way that he could give at a press conference, which I'm not sure that he could reasonably, which is whatever it is. But I would love to have, a few more specifics on, hey, how do you become a team that's not penalized as often? Is there a pattern to that? Are there tendencies that you can break? Why was Buffalo so much better tonight? And again, I don't know if those are answers that Andy Reid is able to give. I don't know if that's something that there is an answer to. But if I was going to be, very selfish and able to just order an Andy Reid press conference cooked up exactly how I'd like it, I would like to know what some of those specifics would look like. But we'll probably be left wanting on that front. We'll get to a couple more clips here from Andy Reid in just a second, currently shuffling some things around on the other side of the glass, I think, so we'll get there in a moment. But also Beards is gone, so I can't take calls right now either. So you can just sit there and listen to me wonder if Andy Reid's ever going to tell us what specifically could get better. And I just don't know what it is. I am curious here. We will eventually get to a clip about Andy Reid talking about Mahomes throwing the balls into the dirt and kind of the issues that were happening there. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm most interested in that answer. But first here, Reid was asked if he noticed any trends with the turnovers the Chiefs have had, if they had anything in common, as that's been a real issue for the 2021 version of this team.
Each one's different. No. Other than they've got to stop for us to be competitive, and that's my responsibility. So I've got to make sure the team plays the right way, and right now we're not playing the right way.
Andy, what's most frustrating about this particular start at 2-3?
Yeah, so mistakes. Those are things that frustrate you when you know that we can do better on turnovers and penalties, big plays. I know what we're capable of, and I see that. We just have to get that done. And so, as coaches and players, we got to get that done.
Here's what I'll add to that also. If the issue is simply execution, as often as people say that it is, which I think is pretty reasonable, it is hard to have an answer in a press conference that's more than we have to be better. Because that's the truth. You can't really coach better tackling to a bunch of dudes in their 20s and 30s. They've been playing football their whole lives. If you can't tackle at this point as a professional, there's a larger problem there. And, there is a larger problem there. There is something deeply broken in some of the Chiefs' execution issues. We'll see if they get them fixed. We have no choice but to be patient, but we will have to wait and see. Reid was asked if he kind of saw this game coming or this start to the season coming, and what's been most frustrating about this start.
No, I didn't see this coming, and not tonight. This game tonight, I came in thinking we had a chance to win the game, and we didn't handle ourselves the right way, and so that's my responsibility, and to get that right. And I look forward to when both sides of the ball play well together, because we could be a real good football team.
That's also true, and I also look forward to that as well. I hope we get to see it. I would even settle for the offense playing its best football and the defense playing some okay football. I think that would probably get things done. Speaking of the defense, mentioned Dan Sorensen a couple of times. He had a brutal game here tonight. Reid was asked about the two plays where Sorensen got beat deep.
Yeah, I'll know more after I talk to Spags and take a look at the film on it. So
it was bad. I can tell you that. They were ugly, and I wonder how that conversation with Spags goes. We'll hear from Spags on Thursday this week. I'm guessing that the safety position will come up. Should be an interesting presser with Spags this week. Andy Reid again here was asked about what he says to the players, what the locker room is like, what he says to them in the locker room after a game like tonight.
Yeah, no, it was. They're embarrassed by it. We didn't play well, and so we all are. That's you surely don't want to play that way anytime, let alone at home, and we've got to do better. And so from the coaches on down to the players, we've got to do better.
It's the same execution stuff, not really getting anything else from that. I am interested to see if we get anything on this question, though. Andy Reid on the Frank Clark roughing the passer penalty that gave the Bills a free first down on 3rd and 17.
Yeah, it's a shame that penalty does that, at that particular time on what I thought was a pretty good tackle. Yeah, so, that's a shame. That's a shame that happens. We had the momentum coming back our way, and, it's not the first time, but that's it's a shame.
Did it look like they called the play correctly? Have you seen enough replays of it to tell if the refs made the right call on that one?
Yeah, it's a shame that penalty happened.
Andy Reid's made a lot of money in his career, but he's not trying to give any of it back to the NFL. It's a nice follow-up. It's a nice try, good effort by Levo, but Andy Reid was not about to spend $10,000 to say that call was bull bleep. So, fair enough, I guess. Here's the question I'm most interested to hear Andy Reid talk about on the number of balls that Mahomes kind of threw into the dirt over the course of today's game and also some miscommunication issues within the offense.
No, we weren't on the same page. We were not on the same page at times with where the receivers were going, where Pat was thinking they were going to be, and we've got to do better with that. We got to make sure that takes place.
A couple more guys. It seems like there's some communication issues on both sides of the ball. Do you see that as well? Just kind of, it seems like with relative little turnover, especially on defense.
Yeah. So when things aren't going right, that's. It's not necessarily communication as much as it is the execution part of it, and then maybe trying too hard to make something happen. Whether it's gaining an extra yard, whether it's trying to make a throw, tip ball, lineman keeping a hand down on it, or handing it off. It's one of all these things. I don't know if that's necessarily communication. But it comes across that way. But I think people know what they're doing. It's just you got to do it, and you can't you can't go above what you're supposed to do. Just let it happen. The play happen.
It's interesting that Reid's kind of giving no credence to the idea that guys aren't prepared and aren't communicating, but is very willing to talk about the execution issues. And then also, offensively, talking about Mahomes there, he says we're not on the same page. Beards, will you play the beginning of that one again? Just that first answer. I think it's really interesting because of what it implies and also what this team is. Go ahead and hit that.
No, we weren't on the same page. We were not on the same page at times with where the receivers were going, where Pat was thinking they were going to be, and we've got to do better with that.
I just don't know how that happens. I think it was Sam Mellinger there in the follow-up question, and he mentioned specifically with very little turnover, talking about, in terms of personnel, assistant coaches, and all of that. What is going on that Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, or Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, or Patrick Mahomes and Byron Pringle? If Patrick Mahomes and Josh Gordon aren't on the same page, I get it. He got here 45 minutes ago. But whenever the ball skips on Tyreek Hill, whose mistake is that if they're not on the same page? And if it's not communication, it's execution, then who's not executing there? Is Mahomes not executing? Is Hill not executing? That's a very weird one to me. I don't know. That one kind of bothers me a little bit, not in terms of my day is ruined, but that one bothers me in terms of why is that happening now? And again, that's not even me trying to backdoor blame anybody in particular. I just don't understand it. I don't understand not being on the same page whenever Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, especially those three guys, seem like they're on the same page all the time, to the point that they're making stuff up as they go. Where's that gone wrong this year? What happened? I don't know. That one's confusing. Interesting, but confusing. Last clip from Andy Reid. He was asked if he could sense when things were starting to not go their way and if players on the Chiefs were trying to force some stuff late in that game.
That's a possibility. I didn't necessarily feel that, but that's a possibility. It kind of comes back to the question here. So, it's, maybe we're trying to. Maybe there is something to that we're trying to. I know the third quarter, we came out and we were sound defensively and played well. Guys were flying around. There was certain energy, and offensively we didn't take care of business there. We drove it down the field and then gave it to them. So, you got to put it together. Both sides have to play well. When you're playing a good team, both sides have to play well. And so, that's what, keeps me going on that. We're going to figure this out and get that done. And when that happens, we'll have a good thing going.
You do have to have both sides playing well whenever you're playing against a good team. And tonight for the Chiefs, neither side played very well. You get yourself an 18-point loss. It's a tough one. We need to take another break here. I know we've got a lot of people on the phone lines right now. If you hold tight, we'll try to get to some calls whenever we come back. And then we'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. Also expect to talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest at some point tonight. And we'll continue to break down the action and also sort of, and also maybe just break down, Maybe we'll just have a total psychotic break at some point during this show tonight. Maybe we'll just go till 4 a.m. and then completely lose our marbles. We probably won't. We'll take a break. We'll come back, take a few calls, hear from Matt Derrick, hear from Patrick Mahomes, and continue to talk about a very frustrating night in Kansas City Chiefs football. It's a Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. And brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your % off. They scored 20 points today, so you get 20% off all day tomorrow. CBD American Shaman. Life is better with the feather.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power Powerball. Now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays.
Make plans to join Royals General Manager Dayton Moore for a men's breakfast at City Union Mission on Tuesday, October 12th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Enjoy a delicious breakfast with the opportunity to eat alongside participants in our long-term Christian Life program as we listen to Dayton's commentary and mission updates. And Stephen St. John will be broadcasting live from the event. Seats are free but limited. Sign up today to secure your spot and not miss out on this exciting opportunity. To register, please visit cityunionmission.org. That's cityunionmission.org.
The crisp smell of fall is amazing. Apple cider, leaves, pumpkin spice. But have you ever smelled your home after a Zero-Res air duct cleaning? Zero-Res offers a unique and innovative approach to cleaning your entire air duct system. We deliver a powerful and effective air duct cleaning that eliminates all dust, dirt, and debris from your air ducts. Schedule today. $50 off an air duct cleaning package. Call 816-425-3655 or book online today at ZeroResKC.com.
Kevin Harlan from Monday Night Football on Westwood One with a preview to wrap up Week 5. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are 3-1, and they've won 3 in a row. Now they play host to Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts, who picked up their first win of the season last Sunday. Can the Colts break the Ravens streak? Join me, Ron Jaworski, and Rich Eisen to find out on Monday Night Football.
Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey guys, it's Grunny here for my friends at CBD American Shaman. Man, I love football and I love big scores. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman stores the day after the game. If Kansas City puts up 30, it's 30% off all the next day at your local CBD American Shaman store. If they put up 50, you got it, 50% off all the very next day. Now that's a big win. CBD American Shaman. Life is so much better with the feather.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside Gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code BILL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code BILL for up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code BILL.
WHB Kansas City.
Cause you had a bad day.
Got him up near the top at his position as Darrell Williams is the running back here at the 40-yard line. Mahomes is going to take off. Plenty of room to roam. And a 25-yard gain before he slides to a hole.
Really don't mind. You had a bad day. You had a bad day.
That's our Andy Reid call of the game, presented by Olathe Subaru. At Subaru of Olathe, they put you in the driver's seat. Shop their huge selection of vehicles your way, hassle-free, online anytime at SubaruofOlathe.com. If you're having a bad day today, you won't if you shop with Olathe Subaru. Surefire way to turn your day around, even if it ends up following a rough performance from the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes in just a minute, but I want to blaze through a few callers here. I'll try to clear out this board, or pretty close to it, before we get to Mahomes and then eventually Matt Derrick. We'll start with people who've been waiting the longest. That starts off with Hunter. Hunter, thank you for waiting, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, man. Yeah, I'll take it super quick here. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just want to know why what's going on with Juan Thornhill? Why is he not playing in the game, you know? And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And then if there's anything going on with that, do you think that leads to Spags, you know, and his mind thought, what he thinks going on with the game? I don't know. I'm super confused what's going on with the defense right now. I mean, we heard that Willie Gay stuff come out this week, but no, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on Juan Thornhill. I haven't heard a lot about him today, but anyways, yeah, I'll listen to you off the air. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, Hunter. Thank you for listening, and thanks for asking about Thornhill. Yeah, we haven't really talked about him much today, which I think is probably a somewhat decently okay thing, because we've talked about his usage a ton as of late. I think he was out there a decent amount tonight. It'll be interesting to see the snap counts, and he played the most he had played last week, not including week 1 when he played virtually all the snaps because Tyrann Mathieu wasn't out there. So I do think his workload is increasing a little bit, but Mina Kimes pointed this out on Twitter, that a lot of the times where Dan Sorensen was getting brutally targeted by Josh Allen, or has been targeted this season, some of that time it's been in dime packages with 5 defensive backs, which is many times has included all 3 of those safeties, Mathieu, Thornhill, and Sorensen, on the field all together, and then Sorensen's the guy that gets picked on. I would be happy to see Armani Watts get some more work there, but there's been lots of weirdly cryptic stuff with Juan Thornhill since he came back from his ACL injury. Last year, he ultimately kind of admitted at training camp this year that last year he didn't get back to 100%, but that he was at 100% in training camp. But he ended up running and spending some time with the 3s and the 4s, and there were some preseason games where he played really late into the game, and it seemed like there was some stuff about his confidence and all of that. But again, it's all there's sort of conflicting things from the coaching staff and Thornhill. It doesn't seem like the two of them as units are really on the same page. And then you ask if it has anything to sort of say about Spagnuolo. I think what we know about him already and knew about him already is that he would rather play the veterans than the rookies. I think he wants to have guys out there that he thinks have the best chance of executing his scheme, which is relatively understandable. Willie Gay didn't get out there much last year as a rookie. Nick Bolton's gotten more work as a rookie and has had very mixed results, but a lot of that has been by necessity because either him or some undrafted free agent, and they obviously wanted to get him in the fold relatively quickly, but with Willie Gay being hurt, I think that really thrust him into the spotlight, and so you've seen him get more work than young guys typically do get in Spags' system. So I think there's a little bit there that they can kind of be spread all around, and it is still very strange because he clearly is more talented than
You're listening to exclusive
we're not going to break yet, Beards. Pull that pot down. We're not going to. No, you've thrown me off, Beards. This is a Beards error.
I'm sorry. I was meaning to hit one button and I hit another one.
If you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to do the Tyrann Mathieu thing of just throwing my arms in the air because clearly someone else made a mistake.
That's my bad.
I'm going to hang you out to dry, hands on my helmet.
I don't want to be Dan Sorensen.
Dirty Beards, they call you.
No, I washed this beard.
I would hope so.
I do.
Thank goodness. Never seen like a bug fly out of it or anything, which is for the best. I've lost my train of thought completely. I hope that answered your question, Hunter, and I appreciate you calling in. Let's go to Frazier up next. Frazier, what's going on? We got one. Beards, we got one. The 2021 NFL season is fully here. wish we still had the caller of the day to give out, because I would call that guy back every day for the rest of my life to try to figure out a way to get him a gift basket of some sort. Boy, that makes me happy. He'd been on hold for a while, and that was the payoff. And I don't think we've heard from Frazier before, so I don't want to speak out of turn.
God, it was immediate too.
I cannot imagine that whatever he wanted to actually talk about could have possibly been better than that actually was, because my spirits have been raised by the factor of 1 billion.
It's not the first time that's happened either.
It's not. We've done some late night shows, and occasionally people are on the phone for 30 or 40 minutes, and if you got your AirPods in or something, sitting in a nice comfy chair, I'd be out if I was at home sitting and listening to this show for 35, 40 minutes. Oh, man. All right, let's keep it moving. Dave, if you're awake, you're on the show. What's up? Dave, you there?
Hello?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, that's David. Hey, my big question was, what I noticed with the offense is Mahomes is only taking 2 or 3 steps and then firing the ball out. In the past, he always took 5, 7, 10. Maybe that's why they're not syncing up.
Yeah. So I that's a very good observation that I didn't pick up on, but I'll tell you this. I got a theory immediately. Something we've talked about and heard about a ton over the course of this season is him learning how to work with Orlando Brown and Lucas Niang instead of working with Mitch Schwartz and Eric Fisher. And one of the biggest things is that being kind of bigger dudes that don't move quite as finessely is, I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to use it, is that Brown and Niang both typically kind of flush guys around the back of the pocket more often. And if you're doing that, and you do, if you're Mahomes, have to account for the fact that that's a win, right? If Orlando Brown runs an edge rusher all the way behind 8 yards back from the line of scrimmage, that's a positive thing. And you also then need, of course, your interior to really hold up there. But if you can make that flush around the outside work, then that's a victory for the tackles. But I think that also does open up those lanes that we've seen Mahomes escaping through, and also could have him taking more shallow drops. I like that. It's a good observation, Dave. Anything else?
Yeah, well, that was my theory on why there's so much balls going in dirt and everything else. Cause the receivers are used to those 2 extra steps, give them 2 extra steps.
Yeah.
Make an extra move or whatnot, and that's why they're not syncing up. I mean, the ball's coming out 1-2 seconds quicker. They're not ready for it. It
also is probably shortening up Mahomes' ability to step in a little bit, step up into those throws if he's a little bit worried about the depth of the pocket and everything. Yeah, I think that's a really good observation, Dave. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Not quite as insightful as the previous caller, but that's not Dave's fault. No, that's a good call. It's a good observation by Dave. Beards, what are you asking for? You're just we're gonna have to sort it out on the air here.
Matt Derrick has texted me back. He says he is free now if we want him.
Why don't we go ahead and say we'll hear from Matt in about we'll touch base with him at about 1:30 if he can do that. I'd like to take these last 2 calls. I want to take a break. In fact, we don't even need to necessarily take a break. I don't think. Beards, work with me here. 2 calls, Mahomes, Matt Derrick. That work? 2 calls, Mahomes, break, Matt Derrick. Can I get a thumbs up?
That works.
Excellent. Let's take our last 2 calls on this current board right now. Let's go to Austin. Austin, you're on the Sports Radio 10 Postgame Show. What's up, Austin?
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What I've really noticed about the offense, which I don't know if it's a knock or not, but I feel like we're running the ball a lot on first down.
Yes.
And it's really out of the shotgun a lot, too, which I don't necessarily like because it takes a little bit to develop. And even if that play goes south, then even on 2nd and 10, they're running the ball sometimes, which I don't get, taking the ball in my home hands even more than that. I just wondering your thoughts on that and what you would think about that.
I really appreciate you bringing that up, Austin, because I do have thoughts on that. It drives me crazy. It drives me nuts. Thank you for the call, Austin. I hate it because your options. You know what? Here's your microcosm. Okay. Let's go all the way back to 2nd and 2. They had the ball at 2nd and 2. They did that little toss to Clyde and tried to stretch him out to the sideline. And look, even as somebody who will tell you, I'm obviously not particularly enticed by spending any sort of significant assets on an individual running back. I think that's largely bad business. We've been over that plenty. For what Clyde can do, what he is not is a stretch to the sideline toss running back. And you're moving backwards when it's already 2nd and 2. If you're going to run it on 2nd and 2, go ahead and hand it to Clyde and let him try to go between Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and let them be a road grader and see if you can get 2 yards. The toss stretch thing to the left, I don't get. I simply don't understand it. And so if you have a chance to either flip the ball to a running back that does not have elite speed or quickness or elusiveness, but has, a lot of good traits, I would say, or a guy like Darrell Williams or Jerick McKinnon, who can do some things but not necessarily all things. Or you can leave the ball in the hands of Patrick Mahomes and let him figure out what he wants to do. I would take that second option damn near every time. Maybe not literally every time, but on 1st and 10 especially, I just have very little interest in seeing them ever run the ball on 1st and 10. Because you're taking the ball out of the hands of an MVP, of the best quarterback in football, which I still think that Patrick Mahomes is. It's really frustrating because I don't think that the logic there can possibly really hold water. It's frustrating. Because what you do, whenever you toss the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you in the first half second of that play, you've told the defense what's going to happen next. And then they just have to beat Clyde to the spot. Conversely, Patrick Mahomes takes the ball, drops back. He's got 3 or 4 options. We saw him do this tonight many times. He can tuck it and run. He can buy time with his legs and continue to try to give people more time to get open downfield. Maybe it's a screen. Maybe it's a quick hit of some sort. Maybe you got a hot route. Maybe it's a long developing play that he has to scramble for. But you have options and you're creating uncertainty for the defense. You have a chance to put someone in a tough position. Run an RPO even. Run an RPO and make a linebacker choose between biting on the run or dropping back into coverage, and then do whatever he doesn't want you to do. But a straight-up handoff or a toss or whatever on 1st and 10 to set you up for 2nd and 8, or the toss on 2nd and 2 to set you up for 3rd and 4, it's bad business in my book. Last call for a little while here. Let's go to Heath. Heath, thank you for waiting. What's going on?
Yeah, Josh, I just feel like if everybody's running 2-deep zone on us, at some point we should figure out how to go ahead and beat that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're healthy, and welcome back. I'll take my comments off the air.
Thank you, Heath. I appreciate that. It's good to be back, even though the result here was not ideal. But it is nice to be doing radio. This isn't something that we actually saw, I think, against the Eagles. They ran a lot of 2-deep zone, and also they're not a very good run defense team. So the Chiefs ran the ball on them very effectively. Clyde was averaging like 6 yards a carry or something, really, really, really effective. Had another 100-yard game. And tonight, I don't know if it's because Star Lotulelei in the middle of their defense. I don't know if it's a revamped defensive line that was punishing the Chiefs, or at least meeting them at their level. But whenever you see 2-deep zone and really playing to make sure that you don't get beat over the top, what was the longest passing play of the night? 23 yards to the 23-yard run was the longest run. That was by Patrick Mahomes. The longest passing play of the night was 26 yards to Hardman. That was down the sideline. Tyreek Hill's longest reception, 17 yards. Travis Kelce's was 15. Those were not all air yards. I'm sure there was stuff after the catch there as well. If you are going to have a defense do that to you, theoretically, you should be able to beat them underneath a little more often. That's a Travis Kelce game, but this one was not a Travis Kelce game because they were also somehow paying plenty of attention to him. And maybe there was a coverage matchup that the Bills liked, and they were able to limit Travis Kelce. That's what Josh Gordon in 2 months might be able to help with a little bit more. Some of the underneath stuff being another option whenever a defense is saying, we're going to play you really deep and we're going to hone in on your 2 big stars. Not a lot of teams are going to be able to do that defensively, by the way. That is one thing that maybe I should mention in terms of like a panic button being hit or not. The Chiefs are not going to face a lot of defenses with as much talent as the Bills, but they are going to face it in January. Like one of those super talented teams, or a few of those super talented teams, are going to be between the Chiefs and a Super Bowl at some point if they want to try to get back there again. And so if you're alarmed by that, frustrated by that, I think that's 100% fair. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes, because this was not the traditional Patrick Mahomes game by any means, and I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say about it, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of insight from the Chiefs quarterback. But first, I want to let you know that the Mahomes press conference is brought to you by KC Acura Dealers, Xfinity, and Westlake Ace Hardware.
Patrick Mahomes press conference is brought to you by your Kansas City Acura dealers. They are partnering with Patrick Mahomes in support of his 15 in the Mahomes Foundation. Test drive to make a difference and enter to win a Mahomes jersey. By Xfinity Internet. Stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Can your internet do that? And by Westlake Ace Hardware, your home convenience store. Ready with the best brands and the right advice you need to get your quick fixes done even quicker. Stop into your nearest neighborhood Westlake Ace Hardware today.
Here's the starting point for Patrick Mahomes. I think it's the most interesting question in terms of what went wrong specifically for him in this game. Mahomes was asked about the amount of balls he was throwing short into the ground tonight, and if there was a new football he was using. Hadn't considered that. Let's hear from Mahomes.
Nah, there was nothing with the football. Same football as usual. I mean, just didn't hit the guys. Some I thought they were going to do routes certain ways. Some I just threw bad footballs at the end of the day, so it's got to be better.
So, I mean, that does sound like either miscommunication, as Andy Reid kind of discounted, or at least the execution issues that Reid talked about plenty in terms of, like, expecting guys to do different things. And maybe Mahomes is expecting guys to dig back harder, and so he was throwing the ball lower. I'm not totally... I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, I think, in terms of various expectations. Kind of interesting. What about what was going on in the locker room after the game, the conversations that were going on in there, and then also how he was kind of keeping the guys up during the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to just take it on the chin. I mean, you got to get better. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we got to do. Still got a long season left, but this is one you're going to remember. And so that's a good football team, don't get me wrong, but we don't lose football games like that, especially at home.
You're obviously the leader of this team, and you're going to try to turn this thing around. How do you keep the guys up during a stretch like this that you guys haven't really faced?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know we have what it takes to be great. We still have a lot of the players. We've brought in a lot of great players that have been really good at other places. So we know that we have what it takes. It's about coming together now and finding a way to do that. We've had spurts here and there, offensively, defensively, special teams, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's about coming together as a team, because in this league, it's not about good players, it's about good teams. And we have to do that, and then we're going to have to find a way. We have a tough schedule, and we got to win now, I mean, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, the AFC West right now is not great for the Chiefs. The 1 seed feels almost gone. Like that, there is a very small chance I see them ending up turning things around enough to secure any sort of real shot at that. And at this point, like, they need to make the playoffs. They need to try to win the division. And that's not a lock, which is crazy to say sitting here after week 5. Mahomes was asked about the recent trend of all the turnovers the Chiefs have been dealing with and the miscommunication they've had offensively. Here's what he had to say about those things.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with me. I mean, I think 3 of them were on me. I mean, the interceptions and then the fumble at the end of the game. And so I have to correct that. I have to be better. It's something that I've not usually done in my career, but I have to reevaluate where I'm at, what decisions I'm making. So once we do that, and I think we don't kind of hurt ourselves, I think we'll find ways to score points. And so, I mean, turnovers are a huge deal in this league. Turnover margin usually decides games. And so it's something we have to correct as a team if we want to win these football games.
Patrick, I mean,
there's a few times where it seems like you expect the receiver to be one spot, to be another spot. What's the frustration given that these are guys that you played with for quite a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we're seeing different defenses that we have seen in the past. Trying to read, we have a lot of stuff where we read coverages and run routes to different spots, and we're just not on that same page. But I have to trust in these guys that we'll figure that out. If that's me knowing what they're thinking, me and them knowing what I'm thinking, and that's what makes our offense so good. So something I don't want to lose. It's just about us practicing, going to work every single day, and kind of being on that same page.
Just to clarify, it's not a guy running the wrong guy as much as he's got options on the play. You guys are just not thinking.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, we kind of recognize coverages as we run routes, and that's what's made us so good over the past few years. Is as teams can have the right coverage called, but we can run a route a certain way. So guys, the guys are seeing coverages differently than I am. I mean, they're different coverages than I don't think anyone else has faced coverages like we've faced these last few games. And so once we get on the same page and kind of get that thing rolling, I think we'll be back to where we're at.
And on the interceptions, it seems like you've been a little snake bit or unlucky this year. I mean, Tyreek doesn't normally have them come out of his hands and go for a pick six. Do you feel like you've kind of been a little bit lucky before? Maybe some unluck has come your way this year?
Yeah, I think everything kind of comes back to the middle at the end of the day. So, I mean, if hopefully that if I'm unlucky now at the beginning of the season, as we get to the end of the season, it kind of goes back the other way. And so I've never been someone I've been kind of a crazier player as far as scrambling and making throws, but in my career, I've never been someone to throw a lot of interceptions. And so I kind of have to look at it now and go back and reevaluate what I'm doing and I have to cut it out. I mean, at the end of the day, if you cut out those turnovers, it's a different ballgame. I don't know if we win, but it's definitely a different ballgame.
Lot from that answer. That's a good one from Mahomes, from the various numbers of answers there. So the thing at the end, I mean, he says he has to cut out the turnovers and stuff, and then, you know, big picture, small picture, whatever, that's true enough. But the ball being batted up in the air and picked off, partially on him, partially on Lucas Niang, I think. Linemen want to keep a guy's hands down there, but I don't know. If Mitch Schwartz tweeted about how it's, you know, not actually on Niang at all, I would concede that to him. But like the one on Tyreek Hill goes through his hands and turns into a pick six. There's nothing Patrick Mahomes can do about that. Tyreek Hill has to catch that ball. Hill had a ball hit him in the face earlier in the game. That's not Mahomes' fault. He's right that the turnovers are game changers. He's right that everything is different if you're not turning the ball over that way. But some of that blame can be spread around. Mahomes isn't going to say Tyreek's got to catch that, but I can. I'm allowed to, even if Mahomes isn't going to there. The one thing that's kind of interesting also about on the kind of the miscommunication front says that, you know, a huge part of the offense is reading and responding to the coverages, and that's the reason they've been so excellent as of late. That's very interesting to me because that does put a specific thing to the short passes, to the issues the offense is having being out of sync. He says nobody's seen coverages like we have these last few weeks. So if you're getting really creative coverages that are throwing you off, that does open you up to, you know, defense is kind of winning a little bit against the Chiefs offense, which has not happened very often, obviously. It also kind of creates this space where there is room for something to directly come from it, if that makes sense, to something specific to improve on. Say, hey, we do need to get used to seeing different coverages, and receivers need to know what I'm expecting. I need to know what the receivers are expecting as we're dealing with these new coverage looks in a different way. I do think that's interesting, and if not fully encouraging, at least not quite as discouraging as hearing somebody say, we got to be better, but I don't know how. Let's keep it moving here with Mahomes. He was asked about that fourth down play in the second quarter where he tried to get it to Travis Kelce, but Jordan Poyer broke it up.
Yeah, it was. You're talking about the one we didn't get, right? Yeah, it was. We ran a play. We had a good play called man covers. They covered it well. I was kind of out route to Tyreek on the left side, so I reset back and try to find Kelce as my kind of last read in that progression, and they covered it well. And they had a spy for me, so I was trying to decide if I was going to try to outrun them, stuff like that. And then it's fourth down, so I try to just put one up and let the big Kelce try to make a play, and the dude made a good play and got a hand on it.
Rudy has come in to say that maybe it was Micah Hyde who had the breakup. I just read what Rudy wrote down. That's the secret of this segment, is I don't know what these questions and answers are going to be. I just trust Rudy with all aspects of my life. Josh Gordon did make his Chiefs debut, had a nice catch, made a nice play. Here's what Patrick Mahomes thought of Josh Gordon's first game as a Chief.
Yeah, he's someone that's going to help us, man. I mean, how physical he is. The teams are playing us in man covers like they did today, especially on third downs. Once he gets a full grasp of the offense, it's going to be hard for them to man him up. It'll take some pressure off Tyreek, take some pressure off McCole and Trav, because they kind of have guys where a lot of people focusing on them, and having a big guy like that when teams are playing man coverage is going to help us.
I agree with that 100%. I'm excited to see, hopefully, where that ends up going. Even as right now, it seems like he's probably still a couple of steps away. Two more from Mahomes here. He was asked if he said anything to Clyde Edwards-Helaire after the game. He obviously left the game with a pretty tough-looking knee injury.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously he's upset. He wants to play. I mean, he had the injury at the end of last year, and he's been rolling these last few weeks. And so he's upset. I mean, I don't know I haven't yet to talk to him after yet. But hopefully it's nothing too serious, and we can have him back this season.
Yeah, setting the expectations there, timing-wise, is already kind of tough. Of just like hope we can have him back this season. It's week 5. It'd be nice if he didn't have to go on the IR. That means 3 weeks, but it did not look good as he left the field. So, not sure about the timeline there. Should know a little more in Andy Reid's presser tomorrow. Last thing from Patrick Mahomes, he was asked about Tyrann Mathieu's comments that the team's struggling to match the intensity of other teams every week. And if taking the other team's best shot on a weekly basis is starting to become a bit of a grind for the Chiefs.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I want to be prepared as possible to play in the playoffs and to try to make it to the Super Bowl. And if that means we're going to get the best shot from every single team, I'm ready for the challenge.
I think that's a nice mindset from Patrick Mahomes. It is also a big challenge, though, that they've had to deal with, obviously continuing to challenge them through today's game as they end up taking an 18-point loss to the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk about that with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest whenever we come back here on the Chiefs Postgame, Sports Radio 810 WHB Chiefs Postgame Show. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Casey's own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
The playoffs continue.
It's a total different atmosphere. It's a total different intensity. It's a total different feeling.
Major League Baseball's postseason until a champion is crowned.
Once you get to the playoffs, you never know what can happen.
Kansas City's home for Major League Baseball. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Everyone knows Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale. Did you know it's also time to save hundreds, even thousands on patio furniture, pool tables, shuffleboard, and more? You can beef up your entertainment area with couches, sectionals, and theater seating now on sale at Family Leisure. Make it a September to remember with special 810 listener pricing at Family Leisure. Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 in Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Hear exclusive Chiefs coverage every week from the best in the business. Only on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Trent Green, Adam Schefter, Tim Grunhard, Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick, Adam Kaplan, Chef Shadia, Nick Leckie, Gary Barnett, Sam Mellinger, Bill Moss, Mark Bowricker, Stan Weber, Sam McDowell, Seth Kaiser, Blair Kirchhoff, Kevin Harlan, Field Yates, Jesse Newell, Cynthia Freeland, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
As the days get shorter and the nights get colder, our homeless neighbors need our help. There is a place in our city where they can find warmth, love, and hope. For 97 years, City Union Mission is that place where they put people first. Each one of us can help by donating, volunteering, and praying for them too.
Please consider donating to our Celebrate Hope campaign at cityunionmission.org.
Hope lives here.
As we start a new school year, most of us are lucky to have a home for our children. But for some families, that's not the reality. They are homeless and without hope. Fortunately, there's a solution. At North American Savings Bank, we believe in taking care of our community. We are a proud supporter of Community Link, who has ended and prevented homelessness for over 35 years throughout Greater Kansas City. Call 816-595-5553 for more information.
When you're ready to buy your next car, check out OneRequest. With inventory from nearly every dealer in the country, OneRequest offers a greater selection than other sites that are limited to only the dealers that pay to advertise. And at OneRequest, we don't sell or share your personal contact information. The other sites think your information is valuable, and that's why they sell it. We think it's valuable to you, and that's why we don't. Don't just search for your next car, OneRequest it. Visit OneRequest.com today.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Allen stepping up, flushed out, directs traffic, fires it wide open, is knocks, and he's in for his 5th touchdown of the season. Allen flushed out of the pocket, 53 yards, goes to his right, and the tight end gets free for a touchdown.
Still remains within the sound of silence.
That is our play of the game because we have run out of good Chiefs plays. That has not happened in quite a long time. It's our play of the game brought to you by Central Bank of the Midwest. Want to be more secure in your money than the Chiefs secondary? Central Bank of the Midwest. That's not their official tagline or anything. I just volunteer that one for free. We go now to our friends Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, who is almost certainly very tired, got rained on at some point, and also dealt with just sort of the grand mess of what tonight's game was. But the good news is we're getting to talk to Matt Derrick, and he's brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. You better buzz Bob, now offering electrical services, panels, wiring, generators, updating fixtures. They do it all, offering a whole home electrical inspection for just $99. Call 888-4BOB. Remember the 913. Matt, what kind of mood are you in right now?
I think I'm going to put myself in the slap happy.
Oh, excellent.
You know, you reach a point at night that does anything matter anymore?
No.
No, I mean, anything that happens at this point, first of all, my mother always told me not to do anything after midnight because, you know, nothing good happens after midnight. So right. I probably should not be talking to you on the radio. But
certainly.
You know what? At the same time, it's 1:30 in the morning. Who cares?
Exactly. This is none of this matters. This is all ridiculous. Everything here is just incredibly silly, and it's kind of freeing at some point once you reach that sort of that slap happy phase. So hey, you know what? Let me just get right into a specific thing. We'll see how frisky you're feeling. I said what I said. Why is Dan Sorensen still on the field as much as he is? Tonight was hard to watch. Like, I felt bad for him.
Well, I guess I should open with my standard caveat, which is that as much as we all know about football, we don't necessarily know what's happening on every single play.
Sure.
And who to blame on every single play.
Sure.
But at some point, it does seem like there's a common denominator with a lot of things. And it's hard not to, at this point, describe Dan Sorensen as a common denominator.
Yeah.
And it's a low denominator. It's not a good denominator. So I can't really explain it. I mean, and this is the kind, I mean, I you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to overreact.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be the voice of reason. I try to be slow and steady wins the race. You know, I try to be that guy. I don't know how sitting at 2-3 after a performance like this at home on a Sunday night against a AFC contender that you can possibly sit back and say, we got to hold the line. We got to hold steady. No lineup changes, nothing doing. We're just going to redouble our efforts, get it down. That's all it's going to take to get out of this. I think you're past that now. I think you have reached a point where you've got to take a serious look at a lot of different places right now and whether or not you can get better at those spots.
Defensively, I think we said something similar last week, but it's even more obviously true tonight. No unit played well. I think you could probably go to either side of the ball as well, and maybe offensively you could find some redeeming qualities from the interior offensive line or something. But defensively, everybody, I think, can shoulder some amount of blame. I think any criticism that any caller has laid out, anyone that you can point a finger at, not that every piece of criticism is valid, but I think you could point a finger at literally everybody and have at least something be true in terms of, hey, this person has not lived up to X, Y, or Z. I don't think anybody is above reproach at this point in tonight's game. Even Mahomes, even Andy Reid, even Brett Veach, even Spags, even Tyrann Mathieu.
Probably, especially those guys in a couple of different spots.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Reid's the buck stops here kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got to hold him responsible for what you saw out there tonight, because this was a team, and and I will disagree. I don't disagree with Andy Reid very often, because that man has forgotten more about football than I will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was Todd that asked him, if there was any common denominator with these turnovers. And he's like, every one of them is a little bit different. You know what? I don't see that, because I see a lot of mental execution errors in every single one of these turnovers in the last 4 weeks. I mean, there's 11 turnovers in 4 games. I mean, I had to go back and look. I mean, by my quick calculations, the worst the Chiefs ever done before was turn over the ball 8 times in a 4-game stretch back in 2013. And that was in the middle of when they were going 9-0. And part of the reason why they got away with 8 turnovers is the defense created 7.
Yeah.
Defense hasn't created 2 turnovers in this 4-game stretch, and they turned over 11. That's not going to get it done. So, I mean, this is to me. I mean, there's too many. And Andy Reid was absolutely right. I mean, he said mistakes, mental miscues are absolutely killing him right now. But I just see that's being what's holding this offense back. I mean, we see when this offense is on, scored 6 out of 7 possessions last week. I mean, that's just as good as you can get. But right now, it's almost as if in this last 4-game stretch, it's touchdown or turnover, and not a lot of anything else in there. And you just can't do that in this league. You can't do that and get away with it.
I had somebody tweet me and say this, to the point that I'm double checking it now to make sure I didn't somehow just get this wrong, and it makes sense if you think about how many times you saw Tommy Townsend. They only punted twice.
Yeah.
That seems insane whenever you realize that they scored 20 points. But again, that goes to that'll happen whenever you put up 4 turnovers. And I think you're right also with all of the mental errors and everything. And it's one of the frustrating things also that Andy Reid does of, hey, we got to execute better. It's not this or that. It's just we got to execute. And that's frustrating to me in a press conference format, because I'd like something a little more specific. Like Patrick Mahomes gave us something a little more specific in terms of, hey, we've seen a lot of different coverages, and a huge part of our offense is reading and responding to coverages and then reacting and doing something that is, again, directly following what the defense is giving us and doing something to kind of exploit that. Mahomes saying, hey, we're going to get to a point where we're used to these things that we're seeing, and we'll all get back on the same page. I at least appreciated it, again, that was something somewhat specific. But, like, Tyreek Hill had 2 brutal drops tonight. One ball went off his face mask, and then the other one turned into that pick 6. You've got to be able to point a finger occasionally and say, hey, I mean, this is a specific execution error. I don't know how you fix execution errors, because in Tyreek Hill's case, he was in the right spot. He just didn't catch it. For the linebackers, I don't think there's athleticism to fix the issues we're seeing.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, that once again, it comes back to me, those kinds of mistakes, I mean, drops, that kind of thing, are usually, to me, more mental errors than they are physical errors.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy like Tyreek Hill, who doesn't drop the ball very often. And he's had a couple of late. I mean, Travis Kelce's had some of late. It seems to be fairly common. And, and I thought it was at least also that it was somewhat telling in that, Andy was asked if he thought that maybe some guys were pressing at times. That on occasion, maybe it seems that some of these mistakes are coming from guys trying to just do too much and maybe trying too hard, for lack of a better phrase, at 1:30 in the morning. And I thought it was interesting. They didn't completely dismiss it. He's like, I don't know about that. I'd have to look at it and see. But I think there could be something to it, because those mistakes that even like the simple things like Mahomes, not getting the ball into his hands on the snap. It didn't seem like there was anything wrong with the snap.
Yeah.
That looked to me like just a physical case of him trying to get to the play as quickly as he could. He saw where he wanted to go. He saw what he wanted to do, took his eyes off the football, had his eyes on the play, and doesn't get it done. I mean, that's a mental miscue. You can't allow yourself to do that. And, you know, those are things that Patrick Mahomes doesn't normally do. Tyreek Hill doesn't normally do that.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they doing it right now? Is it because they forgot how to play football? No. I mean, is it because they're physically adept? No. I mean, it seems like there's something damaged with the psyche of this football team, and it's not one guy. It's 53 guys right now.
That's bleak. So I already knew what I was going to ask you next, but it's coming under a bleaker umbrella. But what do you think? I'd like you to juxtapose these two if you can. What do you think the chances are? I love the percentage chance game. If you want to go percentage, I guess that's fine. You don't have to though. What do you think the chances are that this offense improves significantly over the remainder of this season? And then what do you think and to what extent do you think they could? And then what about the same question for the defense? What do you think the chances are that they improve over the course of this season, and by how much?
Yeah, I mean, to me, once again, I mean, it's almost like that both sides of the football have the exact same problem. I mean, if the offense stops turning the football over, they're going to get really good in a hurry. It's not like you have to get 15 things fixed on the offensive side. So, to me, I mean, if you were to tell me, I mean, Mahomes is sitting here, six turnovers, Chiefs have 11 turnovers on the season. I guess actually Mahomes has more than that with fumble, but say 6 interceptions, they've had 11 turnovers. You know, if you told me that Mahomes was going to finish the season with 12 interceptions, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that Mahomes ended the season with 6 interceptions. I mean,
right.
he's physically capable of going out there and doing that. But to use a phrase that I can only use at 1:30 or 1:40 in the morning,
yeah,
the Chiefs need a slump buster. I mean, they just need to. And I thought the Eagles game was maybe it, but they needed one on just to complete both sides of the football.
Yeah.
They need to go out and beat somebody 48-10, and just feel really, really, really good about themselves again.
Yeah.
Because this team just seems like, you know, they're just almost trying to play so hard because they know something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know what? You play like that, you're going to make bad things happen.
Yeah. I'm with you offensively. They stop turning the ball over. Things are going to look a whole lot better. What about on the defensive side? What can they do?
Yeah, and I guess that, you answer your question more directly. I will say the chances of the offense getting better as the season progresses, 85%.
Yeah.
Chance that the defense gets better, well, you want it almost has to be pretty good, because can the defense get worse?
Well, so here's the crazy thing.
Rim shot?
They gave up 7 points in the third and fourth quarters. They got some stops late in the game. It was just too late. I don't know what to do with that, Matt. I really don't. I don't know how they gave up 38 points, but only 14 of those in the second half. They had an atrocious series of miscues in the first half, and then looked okay in the second half. Got a few consecutive stops. I don't know what they are. I really don't. Other than bad. Yeah. Bad with flashes of good and not the inverse. I'm pretty confident in that much.
Yeah, and, you know, it's great to be able to say, hey, you know what? Played a great game except for 6 plays.
Right.
You know, because it's the 6 plays that kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. If you told me tonight that that they held the Bills to 3 yards on 59 plays and they allowed 72 yards of play on the other 6 plays, I'd believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are doing things the right way, and you're right. I mean, they have stretches where they look like a really good team defensively, but they just and certainly the elements seem to be there. And hey, if you wanted to give me the argument of the Chiefs defense and say, hey, you know what, nobody's been healthy at any point this season that they're really counting on. Chris Jones was healthy for 1 game, and he hurts his wrist and looks like a shell of himself for a month.
Yeah.
Frank Clark, still hasn't been healthy, and then he finally makes a good play, and the officials, flag him.
Mm-hmm.
Traverse Ward's been banged up. I mean, that's a guy you're counting on. Willie Gay was a guy that I think that this team was really, really counting on more than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have him. So if you wanted to say, hey, the defense has been bitten by injuries that have really, really hurt, and if they get these guys healthy and they stay healthy, that there's a chance that they can improve, I'd buy that. So, and we've seen this team play well. That's crazy thing. And there was none of us were saying anything bad about this defense in August.
Yeah.
And I get it's August; they haven't played anybody yet, but they looked really good at training camp. None of us were sitting there saying, "Oh, this defense looks terrible."
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. So what happened? I mean, the only thing that maybe you can point to is injuries. Maybe that's what really zapped the strength of this defense. I still got to think that there's something there. And Steve Spagnuolo has a pretty good history of figuring things out eventually. So I still think the defense can get better. So I'll go 55% chance that they're better at the end of the year than they are right now.
It is exceptionally late, so I'll let you go after one more question, but it's also one of the things that just genuinely confuses me, and I don't know that you're going to have an answer, but I figure you might have a guess. Whenever they're talking about all these execution issues on both sides of the ball, it's not something that has plagued this team under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, right? It's not like they've always had execution issues, or even Spags' defense the last couple of years. It's not like they haven't been able to get to their spots. In fact, I think you could probably argue that the Chiefs' defense has been as competent as it's been because of the fact that they've been able to execute, maybe still without a whole bunch of transcendent talent. Why is that something that has obviously plagued them through 5 games, even in their wins? Is there something that can be adjusted there? And do you think that it is something that is out of character from the last couple years with Reid and Spags at the helm of the offense and defense, respectively?
Well, I mean, one of them could be that you've gotten some guys that have gotten old on you.
Yeah.
And the downside to that is that, when you get old, you get slower and less athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, if I'm a 31-year-old Dan Sorensen, I mean, bless my heart. I mean, my athleticism was gone a long time ago.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't. And that's a credit to Dan Sorensen. I mean, it wasn't that he was ever the fastest guy in the field or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that it was always one of the smartest guys in the field.
Mm-hmm.
But you reach a point. Everybody reaches a point where, if you're not fast enough anymore, that's a problem.
Yep.
And the Chiefs, they're getting old at a couple of key spots. I mean, Dan Sorensen's 31. Anthony Hitchens, you have to look up, I think he's 29, 30. I mean, there's a reason why in the NFL that, most teams don't want to make any commitments to anybody past the age of 30. And defensively, I mean, the Chiefs are really young in a few spots, but they're also really getting kind of up there in a couple of spots. And to me, I mean, I think we're seeing that. So, hey, if the Chiefs do need to make a change on defense, is it a change to maybe sacrifice some experience for speed? Might be what you have to do at this point. I mean, once again, Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo have forgotten more about football than I will ever know. But this Chiefs team doesn't look like it's lacking talent. It looks like it's lacking speed.
Yeah. Yeah, Hitchens is 29. I think speed is the right word. Which also, I lied about last question, but I wonder, I mean, if you bring back Tyrann Mathieu on a longish term deal that takes him pretty late into the career window, maybe he's played even better than I'd give him credit for on the broadcast watch. I really don't know. It's very hard to gauge. But his best football right now isn't saving the Chiefs defense. And I just kind of wonder if, $20 million annually for the next 3 years ultimately ends up being a good investment. I'm starting to wonder if maybe those contract negotiations slowed down, perhaps because the Chiefs may have started seeing the writing on the wall in terms of the way that their entire roster is sort of tilting at the moment, at least defensively. Do you think there's anything to that?
I can't rule it out because, once again, it's conventional wisdom in the NFL. And it was certainly a conventional wisdom that Andy Reid held really, really true to in Philadelphia. It's something that the Chiefs haven't always held true to in the Andy Reid era. And I'll put that on the general managers because, Andy Reid doesn't have full personnel control.
Right.
Contracts and everything like that, he generally leaves those up to the other guys. Now, if Andy Reid went to John Dorsey and Brett Veach and said, "Hey, don't pay anybody over age 30 a dime," I'm sure they wouldn't. But I have to think that the Chiefs, if you look at just the production that they have gotten in the Andy Reid era on defense from guys over 30, it has never been a good investment. I mean, even if I take one of the better players past age 30 was Derrick Johnson. But even then, I mean, Derrick Johnson near the end was not the Derrick Johnson of old.
Yeah.
He wasn't, the beast anymore. I mean, he could still give you some really, really good plays, but he wasn't the guy that he was in his 20s. I mean, nobody is.
Yeah.
And outside of quarterback, I mean, and maybe some guys on the offensive line, I mean, the career arc in the NFL is not favorable after 30.
Yeah.
So if you told me that Brett Veach had a heartburn because he just did not want to commit much money to Tyrann Mathieu past age 30, I'd buy it. And I wouldn't argue with him either, because the numbers would say he's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of bloated contract numbers that are making things a little less fun in Chiefs Town. I don't know why I made it a town, but I did. And you know why I made it Chiefs Town, actually? Because it's 1:50 in the morning. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to let you go. I will hopefully chat with you again very soon. In fact, actually, I will see you out at Chiefs Pressers this week, and I'll look forward to that. It'll be the light of my week.
I am looking forward to it, and I will be thinking very, very strongly about breaking my prohibition against touching and giving you a giant, big Chiefs Town bear hug.
I'll take it. I'm giving you my permission on the front end. Maybe we just get a big group hug going in the media room, just to see if Mick joins in. I don't know. That'd be very interesting to see who joins in the group hug and who doesn't. But I'll take whatever I can get.
I will hug you like you're Josh Allen and I'm Frank Clark.
I hope someone's there to penalize you. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Josh. Take care, my friend.
Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Read his work at ChiefsDigest.com. He also wrote a book called At Last. The only championship the Chiefs will win in the 2000s, I think, is the subtitle. Because everything is broken and it's over. No, that's not it. Nor is it fair. But he does great work that you should go and read and enjoy. At Matt Derrick on Twitter, ChiefsDigest.com. We'll take a break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. We'll hear from Sean McDermott whenever we come back.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
Hey, this is Nate Bucati. The long summer days were filled with fun in the sun, and for most of us, fall is time to get the kids back in school and resume a consistent schedule. I feel so much better with my consistent stretching program at Stretch Zone. Stretching is a winning decision when it comes to wellness. Focus on your own winning wellness program with Stretch Zone, where they will help you feel better, move better, and perform better with each stretch. Contact them today at StretchZone.com to visit one of their 4 locations in the Kansas City area.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
shoots it again, and Allen takes it into the end zone. Oh, man. 8 plays, 6 runs, of which he accounts for 3 of them. 9-yard touchdown for the quarterback.
Let's, you know what, honestly, Beards, I love this song, unsurprisingly. But I don't think it's appropriate. Because I'm not sure the Chiefs were swinging at anything. This is just sugar, we're going down by 18 points. We're going down bleeding. Somebody on Twitter blamed it on the red on red uniforms, which I don't like, so that works for me, but it also makes sense.
What's wrong with the red on red uniform?
They stink. Because they look like blood clots running around on the field, which is fitting because today nobody can stop the bleeding. Let's hear it from Sean McDermott. I don't think that the game would have felt a lot better if there wouldn't have been a 45-minute rain delay during halftime, but I think we would have felt a little better.
That was only 45 minutes? Are you sure about that?
No, I just picked a number. It might have been an hour. I think it was
like an hour 5.
It probably was about an hour. It just sort of struck me that
Just imagine if we'd have gotten out of here at
we could have wrapped it 1-ish instead of 2-ish.
Yeah. Also, by the way, just for kicks and giggles, we figured out in the last segment that Rudy is about 4 months younger than Dan Sorensen.
But you're always going to be younger than Dan Sorensen, though, which is important.
But he feels like I should be like 5 years older. He feels like he should be 5 years older than me.
Also, I'm like 4 months younger than Anthony Hitchens.
That one is more jarring to me. I don't know why.
Rudy just said, I'm old.
You're old, but you know what you have, Rudy, that Dan Sorensen doesn't have? A great head of hair. That's not Dirty Dan's fault. He's leaned into it. Like, he's got, it's a powerful look for him.
I got my shots. I can be within 6 feet of people, unlike Dan Sorensen playing defense.
My headphones cut out there. I didn't hear anything that Rudy said, but I bet it was totally safe. You got anything else, Beards? I had another joke I wanted to bring, but I've forgotten it since. Oh, so we're gonna hear from Sean McDermott in just a second, but I did want to make this point. Not eventually I'm probably going to do a show where I don't reference almost dying or diabetes, but it's not going to be this show. It's almost 2 a.m. We still got to play opposing coach press conference. We're going to be here for a little bit longer. We'll talk for a couple minutes after we hear from McDermott.
By the way, you want to give me a legal ID while we're doing this?
Like a legal ID here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
Yep, that counts.
On the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
That was extra stuff. You didn't need to do that, but thank you.
I'm Joshua Brisco. Your Beards McFly. Rudy Salazar is a little bit younger than Daniel Sorensen.
That all works.
It's almost 2 o'clock, and we got some more show to do. We had the delay. The Chiefs got crushed and everything. But silver lining, bright side, last time that I hosted a post-game show in prime time, I almost threw up in the parking lot, got home and then did throw up a bunch, and then like 3 days later almost went into a diabetic coma and could have ended up dying in a bathtub is the short version of the story. And did it. And I'm here again. So we could do this show until the Border Patrol in the morning.
How about we don't? Because I want to go home.
What I was going to say is that we could do the show until the Border Patrol in the morning, and it would still be a better day for me than the last primetime show that I did. It'd be a worse day for you guys, for sure, because you guys would have to be here for it all. So I totally understand that. And I'm not saying that we should do that either, for the record, because we shouldn't. We should play Sean McDermott, should put a bow on this thing. We should upload the podcast so people can listen to it tomorrow if they, missed anything or went to bed at a normal hour. But I'm just saying that for me, every post-game show for the rest of time is not going to be the worst I've felt doing a post-game show. Probably.
There was the Super Bowl, you're right.
Also not great. But I mean, yeah, this isn't the end of a season, so it is probably better. I said at the beginning of the show, I think this might have been the worst football game that the Chiefs have played with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, because there was nothing to hang your hat on, and at least in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes was doing some Superman bleep occasionally, and just everyone else around him was made of kryptonite. But that's a different story.
I will say this is not the worst post-game show experience that I have ever had. I told you guys earlier, the worst post-game show experience that I've ever had was that 2016 Steelers game.
Oh, Danny's not that bad to work with.
Where leading into that game,
was a fun joke.
Everybody on the station and in the media was like, oh, yeah, the Chiefs are going to whoop them. The Steelers are going to fold. It'll all be great. And then it was just the Hindenburg crashing into Arrowhead Stadium for 3 hours. And we had...
Gayha Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
Not at the time. And we had so many drunk callers. And it was just the worst. It wasn't fun. This is at least better than that.
I will say, I feel...
That was a bad game.
I feel pretty good about... This is very meta now within this show, and now we're just absolutely BSing instead of playing Sean McDermott. And if you're waiting up for Sean McDermott, I'm sorry, it's 2 a.m. and we're all our brains are all floating. And what do they put frogs in that you're going to dissect later that's very strong smelling like fluid?
Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde. All of our brains are currently floating in formaldehyde, so I apologize for the tangent that we're going on. But also not really. It's 2 o'clock. What else are you going to do?
Go to sleep.
Well, fair. Now I lost my train of thought. What did you just say?
Formaldehyde.
No. No, that was a tangent on the tangent.
Hindenburg.
Chiefs, Steelers, Hindenburg.
Worst post-game show experience. A lot of drunk callers.
I will say,
you almost died.
Very meta. I did. Very meta, but I do feel really good about the callers that we have, generally speaking. We've got good callers that call into this post-game show.
There were a couple when I picked up the phone I was a little nervous about.
One of them fell asleep.
One of them fell asleep. So I was almost right about that one. The other one was fine, though.
He was good.
He was good. I won't say who it was, though.
We've got, no, you shouldn't, but, we've got the whole spectrum of, every week Gary calls in and wants Andy Reid to be put in retirement home. And Butch calls in, and the Lombardi Trophy's already being sent to Kansas City, and I love that. And we got everybody in between as well. It's a fun dynamic. I think we got good callers on this show.
Just very, really quickly, if you're so interested. I did find the audio of the last time somebody fell asleep on the show. Would you like to hear this?
Can we close the show with that? Can that be how we send people into their early morning hours? Yeah. That's a tease. If you don't give a bleep about
sleep with Sean McDermott, and then we'll laugh at the guy that actually fell asleep on the show that one time.
Who I got to meet at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade. I met him at the parade, which was such a perfect circle, a perfect circle of life of post-game show, falls asleep. We meet in person at a Super Bowl parade to celebrate together.
So what you're saying is every year that we've had somebody fall asleep on the post-game show, the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because it's only happened once.
And they won the Super Bowl.
So it happened again. Just saying.
I don't understand correlation or causation at all, but I'm pretty sure that's one of the two. Maybe both. Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl 56 this year? They won 54, lost 55, or on 56, right?
Yes.
I think it's a replay of 55.
I would rather it not be. Let's hear from the Buffalo Bills head coach, because we always like to hear from the opposing coaches to round out the show. And Sean McDermott's team, clearly the victors here tonight, clearly the superior team tonight. And Sean McDermott's opposing coach press conference is brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search for Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. Sean McDermott will take it from here.
All right. Good team win. Great to see the fans out here, the support we had. Both in the first half and after the rain delay, and just a great team win. Everyone had a hand in this, and obviously, you saw the drive that Josh put together. I thought it was a phenomenal drive. Give the Chiefs credit; they're a tough opponent, well coached, and a good football team. So it's hard to come in here and play as well as we did at moments of the game. But just very appreciative of the effort that the players gave, the coaches, great game plans. Glory to God, man. Just blessed to be here.
You touched on it a little bit there, the fourth quarter drive. Does it say about the growth maybe that this team and the offense in particular, how far they've come maybe in just a year, being able to go out there and put a 12-play, 85-yard drive together and basically end it?
Yeah, we needed it. So that was good to see. I thought, just Josh made some unbelievable plays during that drive, but he didn't do it by himself either, Josh. So, it's just we needed that drive. Momentum was shifting a little bit there, and we got it when we needed it.
Sean, you prepared for a lot of stuff. Were you prepared possibly that there could be a delay tonight? Had you talked about that at all?
We did. It's funny. I got my phone next to me here. I sent a text to our strength coach Eric Ciano, his staff, and Nate and his staff. We were getting updates on the weather basically every couple hours, and I sent it to them because I got it from Jeff Mazurek, our equipment guy, and who does a great job. And then I sent it to them, just saying, hey, be ready. And we had it prepared. They had it prepared, I should say, for the Miami game because it tends to happen down in Miami like it did a year ago. So it was a great job by our staff.
Sean was just in there listening to the Chiefs players, and they were all to a man we're talking about how they felt the intensity from you guys, coming in here, and they're getting everyone's best shot because they've been in the Super Bowl a couple times. But how big is this for you guys to come in here and do what you did to this team just because of what they've done the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, every season's different. Like I said earlier, this is a really good football team. Winning the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then last year, in the game again. That's hard to do in and of itself, and they're well coached. They have good quality players. They play together. There's no mistake that they've been good for a long time under Andy Reid and his staff. So it's good to come out here and get a good road win in a tough environment with a weather delay. I think it showed a lot of mental toughness by our group.
Sean, what are you thinking when you see Josh, hurdle that guy? Obviously, critical first down in that point in the game, but maybe not your favorite thing to see your quarterback do. But just what are you thinking during that moment?
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take that first down. He can jump over me if he wants to.
Hey, Sean, what do you like most about the improvement of your defense? I mean, I know it's been a good defense, but it seems to be even better this year. Why is that?
Well, I think Leslie and the staff do a really good job. And then the players buy in every week. They come in hungry, whatever day they're first in the building, and they embrace the game plan, and they really play together. It's fun to watch them play because they're a very unselfish group, and they work hard during the week, and their success is by no accident. So,
how does a great tight end change the dynamics of an offense, and what have you seen from Dawson this season that, aside from the obvious scoring, that he hasn't done in his first 2 years?
Yeah, I think just the real thing here is that Josh trusts him to make plays, and he's made plays, and so those kind of those grow together, right? And it was good to see. I mean, he's done it now. This is game 5, and so he's done it every game that I can think about this year, even in the preseason. So he's off to a really strong start. I think Dawson would tell you, and our entire football team would tell you, there's still work to do, right? It's still early in the season. We still have to get some guys back healthy, and we're facing a good opponent next week here.
Hey, Sean, when you think about Kansas City's offense and the scheme and all the playmakers too, how different of a challenge is it to play them versus anybody else? What's unique about how you have to defend?
Well, the star level of the players, I mean, they just added Josh Gordon. I mean, you look around, they're breaking the huddle, and there's a guy going left, a guy going right, another one in the backfield, and unfortunate to see, the running back get hurt there. I'd never like to see that. Pray that he's okay. But yeah, then with the quarterback, I mean, they got star power, and then they're well coached. I mean, Andy Reid's he's just a artist, man, back there, and what he does with their offense, and same with Eric Bieniemy. They make a good pair.
Sean, you just talked about all the things that make the Chiefs so special, and yet all the players that came in before you, one after another, talked about this is just another win, just week 5. Is there a sense of pride that these guys have treated this game and this win that way?
Well, it's the right approach, man. It's week 5, and it's another step for us as a football team and as an organization. And humility goes a long way, and you get humbled awfully quick in this league if you don't embrace that mindset week to week. And I'm really proud of the guys for that, and that starts with the leadership in that locker room.
Tyrann Johnson spent a lot of time in the slot across from Tyreek Hill. And there was a couple plays where Patrick Mahomes scrambling around, and Tyrann just did not let him go. Could you talk about his performance today and what you thought he played?
Yeah, again, it's never one guy. It's the rush and the coverage working together. Excuse me, but Tyrann, to your point, that's why Brandon did what he did. He's a really good player, and we're fortunate to have him now. And I thought he did a really good job. I mean, just getting the extension. What day was it? Saturday morning. When it got all tied up there, and then to get focused to play in this game and play at a high level. That's a hard thing to do, and he did a great job putting the team first.
What was it like for you personally to be an Andy Reid coach team, and what, if anything, did he say to you after the game?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of respect for Andy, as you guys know, and he's well respected around the league, and to me, a great ambassador for the NFL by the way he handles his business, and he's first class like he was after the game, and so his whole staff was. So they're a good football team, and it's really a win for us is how I look at it. We don't get 2 points for this win versus 1 point a week ago, and so we get home, hopefully see a few fans, maybe 1 or 2 at the airport, and back in Buffalo, and then we'll wrap this thing up and get on to Tennessee.
What did you make of Greg Rousseau?
Sorry.
What did you make of Greg Rousseau's night and that interception?
Yeah, a huge play. We made plays. A year ago we came here and they made a lot of plays. We didn't make quite as many as we needed to win the game, and our players made plays tonight, and that was great to see. I thought they were in a great space mentally. They put in a lot of work physically during the week, and when you see a young guy make a play like that, I mean, the future is very bright. So, but again, another unselfish player, the way he approaches every week, and he's had some success, and then he's hit some bumps a little bit too, and that's to be expected, and it's great to see the guys continue to hit the reset button and play.
There's Sean McDermott, Bills head coach, victorious head coach tonight, and a lot to be very proud of and excited for his Buffalo Bills team from this point forward. We have a lot to be excited for around here because next week we get to see the Chiefs go to Washington and hopefully get right and get back to 500. And it's always a good time, even after a loss, to be here for the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Thanks to Rudy Salazar and Beards McFly. I'm Joshua Brisco. It's all brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your percent off. They scored 20 points tonight, so you get 20% off all day tomorrow. CBD American Shaman, life is better with the feather. Beards, we said we'd close out the show this way. Go ahead and throw it all the way back to the 2019 season whenever we had one of the most memorable callers of all time.
Go to DJ. What's up, DJ? You're on the Chiefs Postgame Show.
DJ?
Maybe he fell asleep.
I felt like I might have heard a snore.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he's asleep.
Okay, everybody be real quiet. Hold on, Beards, turn him up.
You put him to sleep.
Thanks for the call, DJ. Let's go to Greg. Greg, Greg, are you awake?
Wake up with his phone still on.
Thank God. Greg, thanks for being conscious with us tonight. What's up? We have fun here. The Chiefs fall to the Bills 38-20. We can still have a good time. We'll talk to you again next time on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show presented by Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.